Well, good evening, everybody. Glad to call to order. It is 18:01 hours, 6:01 p.m. Glad to call to order our bi-weekly Board of Mayor Alderman meeting. If we could stand, please, for, oh, I'm sorry, before we do that, stipulation members present. There are 9 people on the board. One of us is missing tonight. That's Vice Mayor Gavigan. But in addition to the remaining 8 of us, we have in our city attorney spot tonight, Mr. Josh Hulk Hogan. We have our city, we have our city recorder, Miss April Goad. We have our city administrator, Miss Pam Caskey, and we have various staff members out in the audience and in the booth. So if we could now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you don't mind bowing your head, I'm going to say tonight's blessing. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you, God, for the opportunity to be in a position of all of us that are up here to serve the citizens of our great city, Spring Hill. I thank you, God, for the many hours of the staff that works here, the staff that are in all the different departments that continue to do a great job for the citizens here. We love you, God, and I just ask that you bless this meeting tonight, and thank you again for the opportunity to be here. Amen. Okay. Approval of the agenda. All those in favor to approve the agenda say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Agenda's approved. Mayor's comments. I have no mayor's comments tonight. Ms. Caskey.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I have several. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Parks and Rec staff and all of the city staff that assisted in the Founders Day celebration. The weather wasn't the best weather for May to hold such a thing, but I think they did an excellent job of getting an event started, and I hope that in years to come it will grow and the weather will be better. So that's one. Number 2, I take the great privilege in welcoming our new senior planner, Mr. Peter Hughes, if you wouldn't mind standing. He comes to us with many years of experience in the planning world from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and we'd like to welcome him to town and welcome him to the City of Spring Hill team. So thank you, Peter, for joining us. Finally, on a much more serious note, supply chain issues and construction delays are with us everywhere these days. But more importantly, we've been shooting for having a new booster station online by the end of Memorial Day. They would have met their target if it wasn't for supply chain issues. But we're hitting a very dry spell ahead of Memorial Day. Usually it happens about Memorial Day, which is why we set that as the deadline. But we lose 10% of water a day due to people watering lawns. We would like to ask for all voluntary compliance to not water until further notice. There is no watering on Friday's period. When we get some rain and we start to return to watering, we would ask people to pay attention to the postcards and the banners and everything else that we've done to try to promote water conservation, which means you only water on an odd or an even day based on the side of the road that you're on, and that no watering on Fridays. Meanwhile, if we don't get voluntary compliance with this, we're going to have to start cutting off irrigation meters. We've got to not lose 10% a day. We need to maintain adequate fire flow in case somebody's loved one is caught somewhere they don't need to be in a fire. And we never know the time and the place for that, so we always have to be ready. So we would encourage your cooperation. The booster station should be online by the 4th of July, I'm hoping, and by that time that'll be an additional 2 million gallons a day that we can draw through the Columbia system, and we shouldn't have these problems, and we have long-term plans to get it up to 10 million gallons a day, so we should be okay. But for right now, we really do need your cooperation, so thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, call for comments on public hearing. There are no public hearing items. So Next item on the agenda is concerned citizens. Are there any concerned citizens out there that wish to come to the podium? You will have 4 minutes maximum to state your piece, and please state your name and your address when you get here.
John Mayer, Old Keaton Road. I can definitely relate to the supply chain issues with a lot of things we're trying to do. I was going to request on item 13 of the new business, which is my engineer has a child graduating this evening and couldn't be here, so I'd like to push that off to the next BOMA meeting if we could, and have a work session on that if we could. That would be our request. I wish I had enough knowledge to present it, but I don't. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there any other concerned citizens at this time? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address. You have 4 minutes.
Hi, good evening. This is Tara Lisicki. I'm a resident of Brixworth. I'm not sure if John Mayer's request will be granted, so I brought handouts. Maybe I can start on one side each. And then I didn't have time to staple. Thank you. Okay.
And one more time, ma'am. I missed your name.
Tara Lisicki of Brixworth.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, we had one of our family friends had an emergency, so I'm not as prepared as I would like to be, so I'm reading off my notes. Good evening, Mayor Hageman and Alderman. Thank you for your time this evening listening to the citizens of Spring Hill. Thank you for another opportunity to discuss our safety concerns regarding the rezoning on Hurt Road for the residents of Brixworth. Thank you for your comments last week, Mayor Hageman, at the Planning Commission meeting. I thanked God as I listened to your words as they held true to preserving our quality of life, livability, and aligned with the citizens of our beautiful city, Spring Hill, Tennessee. I admired Mayor Hageman's emphasis on promoting public health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. I wanted to rejoice when he talked about his focus on the principles of smart growth by preserving open space and natural areas. Approving the R2 zoning, if there will be connections into Brixworth at Safe Haven Place and Danes Drive, is not citizen serving in that it will have impacts on public health, safety, and welfare. In the best interest of our citizens and smart growth, approving the R2 zoning with the modification and stipulation that there is no connection to Brixworth through Safe Haven Place and Danes Drive, as shown in the updated concept map provided by Adam Crunk, who has the graduation tonight. Congratulations to your son or daughter, would be citizen-friendly, especially when discussing the component of livability. I was extremely so pleased and was thanking God over and over again seeing that update, because Mr. John Mayer here listened to us, and I really appreciate that. Thank you for serving the citizens in smart growth while being in alignment with the citizens of our beautiful city. Maybe there's a few more minutes, but I wanted to touch on this past weekend. We have an awesome pool. Well, we have two pools, and so Safe Haven is located at the south pool, and currently it has that dead end. And due to how awesome the pool is and how we'll have about 600 residents at closeout, it's just so packed. Sometimes I'll have neighbors park in my driveway, which, bless them. And sometimes we'll have to have people move their cars in order for our other neighbor friends to be able to back out and get to wherever they need to at that time. So currently, our conditions at the pool we are enjoying it, and we're enjoying it a lot. And so the road is super, super slim. It's literally just enough for 2 cars, no parking. And so we're doing what we can, but the mailbox is right there and our pool. And I heard from the HOA that we might even get a playground. So when we have our closeout, it's going to be a lot of families, and I hope that we can have a safe, livable community where I won't be anxious about all of the beautiful children that are, we're blessed with, and I want them to stay safe. As I said in the last meeting, I was hit by a car as a pedestrian when I was 14, and that's my older son's current age, and I just look at him and his friends.
So you're right at 4 minutes.
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
extend it another. Yep.
Thank you, Mayor Hageman and
Yep.
Planning Commission and Alderman. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other concerned citizens at this time? Seeing there are none, I'm moving on. Voting agenda. Consent items. Ms. Goad.
Item number 1, financial report and BOMA minutes. Financial report, BOMA special call budget meeting 4/13/2022. Beer board meeting minutes 4/18/2022. BOMA meeting minutes 4/18/22. BOMA special call budget meeting minutes 4/20/22. BOMA meeting minutes 5/2/2022. Item number 2, department reports. Item number 3, committee commission reports and minutes. Item number 4, consider resolution 2284 to award contract to Sentinel Construction LLC for guardrail repairs. Item number 5, consider resolution 2285 to authorize payment for commercial grade smart monitors and related hardware, materials, wiring, and installation for courtroom, hallway, and service areas. Item number 6, consider resolution 2286 authorizing acceptance of offer of dedication of road rights-of-way and public improvement shown on the existing plat for Harvest Point Phase 3. Item number 7, consider resolution 2287 authorizing acceptance of offer of dedication of road rights-of-way and public improvement shown on the existing plat for Harvest Point Phase 8B, Section 1. Item number 8, consider resolution 2288 to authorize the expenditure for Tyler Technologies time and attendance software and hardware. Item number 9, consider resolution 2296 to authorize street paving under the annual contracts for fiscal year 2022. Item number 10, consider resolution 2297 to authorize street striping under the annual contracts for fiscal year 2022.
Mayor, move for approval of consent agenda.
Second.
Motion to approve consent agenda by Alderman Fitter, seconded by Alderman Linville. Is there any discussion on consent agenda? Please vote. Consent agenda passes unanimously 8-0. Thank you, Board. Moving on, previous business, there is none. New business. Item number 1, consider resolution 2276, a resolution to honor Paul Downing.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution 2276.
Motion to approve 2276 by Alderman Murray, seconded by Alderman Nieves. So is there any discussion on this item? Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to take the time to kind of give you a little more clarity around this resolution. It was brought to me by a couple of citizens, Ronnie King and Miss Amy Worth. And I just want to let you know that after hearing the contributions that were shared, I was able to go to the Parks and Rec Commission and discuss the resolution. And just wanted to share their feedback was unanimous approval of this to honor a citizen for their work. And so just wanted to share that with you. And obviously everyone here knows that serving the city is something that takes time and effort, energy, sometimes sacrifice, time from your family, lots of things like that. And so just wanted to share with you a little bit of the background of how that came out, and would appreciate, it's good to serve with a board that likes to recognize citizens for their contributions, and just would appreciate the board's approval on this.
Any further discussion? Alderman Nieves.
Yes, Mayor, with everyone's approval, I would like to read the resolution.
No, I'm going to read that.
Okay.
If it passes,
Okay.
I will read it.
Okay, very
If
good.
it passes.
Thank you.
And then we'll have his family come up here and want to stand, and we'll do it a little bit different. Alderman Fitterer.
Thank you. Just to piggyback on Alderman Murray a little bit, Paul had the misfortune of serving alongside me on the Planning Commission for 6 years, and I very much appreciate the leadership he provided as chairman of that commission. It is a very thankless job that pays a very healthy $50 a month. So the last sentence here exemplifies what it means to volunteer for your community. I don't know that that's accurate with the $50 a month you receive, but I very much appreciate all your time and effort, Paul.
Any further discussion? Alderman Nieves.
Yes, Mayor. Well, let me just say that I do know, just from my own family and from some of the things that I have seen Paul Downing do in this community, these are the kinds of things where there are so many citizens in our community that provide wonderful, they're a wonderful asset to our citizens. And we want to, there's so many that don't ring their own bell or they don't get very much recognition, and this is a wonderful time. I have personally seen the sacrifice his family has made, all of the work he has done to volunteer in other things like the Pay It Forward Festival every year. He did many things like that, but the youth, the coaches, the parents in this community that have benefited from him bringing the sports to Spring Hill is just something that is absolutely, he should be honored for those things.
Thank you. Alderman Cox.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, my family and I moved in 2018, and we were looking for a place to play soccer, and we were happy to come across Spring Hill Hawks, and we've been a part of the program since the Hawks started offering soccer, and I've witnessed Paul at the field pretty much every day, and he's there. He was there helping painting the lines, walking behind a painter. Now he's got a nice robot that does it, but there was a lot of walking and a lot of crooked lines, but you know what? It was seeing him out there working concessions, his family working concessions with him. He just brought an excellent level of service to the community, and I've been very fortunate to be able to be there alongside him, and I'm happy to see this resolution. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, go ahead, vote, please. Resolution 2276 passes unanimously, 8-0. Mr. Downey, if you'll come forward and bring your family, I want to present you with a certificate, and we'll do this. So you guys, this is this gentleman on stage right, your left. This is Mr. Paul Downing, who we've been talking about, and he is in fact a citizen who's lived in Spring Hill for many, many years and has contributed to incredible successes that this city has enjoyed, especially with the youth. So I'm thankful to Alderman Murray, who authored this resolution, and so I'm just going to read it so that you guys know this as well. A resolution to honor Paul Downing. Whereas the Board of Mayor and Aldermen wishes to honor Mr. Paul Downing for his leadership and commitment to serve the youth and taxpayers of the city of Spring Hill, Tennessee. Whereas Paul Downing founded and led multiple recreational youth sport leagues that has served the youth of the city of Spring Hill, Tennessee, including 2010, the Coyotes Youth Tackle Football serves 150 youth. 2014, Spring Hill Hawks Youth Tackle Football serves 350 youth. 2021, Spring Hill Sports Association Tackle Football, Flag Football, Cheerleading, Lacrosse, and Soccer Sports serves 2,358 youth. Whereas Paul Downing also provided dedication by serving the city of Spring Hill, Tennessee in multiple capacities, to include being a member of this Park and Recreation and Historic Commission from 2015 to 2021. Whereas Paul Downing has demonstrated his commitment to improve our community through multiple leadership roles and his youth sports initiatives, and exemplifies what it means to volunteer for your community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Spring Hill Board of Mayor and Aldermen hereby honor, recognize, applaud, and will celebrate the contributions made by Mr. Paul Downing through a plaque permanently placed at Fisher Park, passed and adopted by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Spring Hill, Tennessee, on this 16th day of May 2022. Mr. Paul Downing. Yeah, that was lovely. Congratulations again, sir. Okay, moving on. Item number 2 under new business, consider first reading of ordinance 2214 to adopt tax rates for the city of Spring Hill for the fiscal year July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023.
Move to approve 2214.
Second.
Motion to approve 2214 by Alderman Fitterer, seconded by Alderman Murray. Is there any discussion on this item?
Mayor, I might note that there are blanks or X's where characters need to be. As soon as we get the equalized tax rate, we'll fill those in. But until then, we just need to get it on the table, knowing that we will get it passed. And it is not at this point anticipated that there will be any change above the equalized rate.
Is there any further discussion? Go ahead and vote, please. (2214) passes unanimously 8-0. Thank you, Board. Item number 3, consider first reading of ordinance 22-10, an appropriation ordinance for the city of Spring Hill, Tennessee for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022 and ending June 30, 2023.
Move for approval of 2210.
Motion to approve 2210 by Alderman Fitterer, seconded by Alderman Linville. Is there any discussion on this item?
How would staff like this? Just start hammering
Yeah,
through?
I think your name is on them, and if you could go in order, that would be very helpful because it'll keep us straight with the amendments. And so if you just want to make the amendments, we'll vote on each amendment as we go. And I do have on the board whether it's coming out of the unbudgeted revenues or whether it's coming out of the fund balance, I do have a running total here. So as we start to make the changes, I'll monitor it.
Okay, before we move on, so you know in the audience, and if you're watching online, this is going to be probably not a quickie, a longer, because there are over 60 items that we're going to talk about and amend to pass or to fail. And this will take a while. We're going to go line by line. So item number 1, Alderman Murray. Go ahead, sir.
Picnic tables and chairs for special events, the 15,000 through Parks and Rec reoccurring. Really, this is just for special events to be used to make sure there's ample seating, as well as places to eat, for example, like at a Founder's Day or those kind of events, to make sure that we have space for citizens to do that.
Are you making an amendment? Motion?
Motion to amend.
Motion to amend.
Alderman Murray makes a motion to amend item number 1.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Fitterer. Is there a discussion on item 1? Go in and vote on this amendment, Board.
Got the agenda back. Try the voting machines. There we go.
Item 1 passes 7-1. Thank you, Board. Item number 2. Alderman Cox.
Thanks, Mayor. So this is just a slight increase to the street litter program. As you know, I'm pretty passionate about keeping Spring Hill clean, and one of the things that I want to do outside of what Tyler has already put into the budget is start to look at some additional programs in education and things like that, do some teen program incentives around getting some prizes, things like that. So I want a little bit of wiggle room in there. We've increased our street adoption, so those signs have to come out of this. So I'm just looking for a little more wiggle room. So that's where the 5,000 is coming from. So I'd like to amend move to amend in the amount of $5,000.
We have a motion to amend item number 2
Second.
by Alderman Cox, seconded by, I missed it. Alderman Fitter, thank you. Is there any discussion on this amendment proposal? Go ahead and vote, please. Item number 2 passed 8-0. Thank you, board, unanimously. Item number 3, Alderman Fitter.
Thank you, Mayor. We have to take some kind of action around this, as staff had directed us regarding the sanitation subsidy. So I'm going to move the general fund, move to amend the general fund the amount of $285,000. I believe that's the 1/3 number that Ms. Caskey corrected me.
Dan and I didn't have a chance. The 1/3 subsidy of what the state, of what we were funding was 175. But there was an adjustment to that. For what reason, Dan? Because it was 175 and it went up 90,000. I don't know where the 90,000 went to.
It went up because I went back and did a detailed scrub on all of the accounts for revenues and expenses, and that's the new difference. So I took 1/3 of the new difference. And that's what the number is.
And Matt, because of the size of this number, if you wanted to delay this, that might be appropriate. If you want to do it now, that's fine too, your choice.
I'm fine delaying it. I'm just going to let the board know that we have to deal with this before second reading one way or the other. So, Mayor, if you want to move on to item number 4, that's fine.
We're moving on. So this is delayed until, thank you. Okay, item number 4, Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. As I was reviewing the budget, I realized that we have an election coming up in next April and didn't have funding in the budget for that. So I'd like to move to amend ordinance 2810 for $50,000 from the general fund for election funding in the legislative line.
Motion to amend item per item 4 for $50,000 by Alderman Linville, seconded by Alderman Fitterer. Any discussion on this item? Alderman Cox.
Thanks, Mayor. Trent, is that something that, is that the same amount that we had last year that's consistent?
So there's no
Previous votes?
election last year, but in the last fiscal year that we had an election, that's
Okay.
the number that staff provided. That was in
Okay,
there.
cool. So we were just missing it.
That's right.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Just a moment.
Alderman Palmer.
I got this, I think Alderman Davis, I have the same question. In the notes you have out here for Thompson Hutton, is that for something else?
Okay, so we've had a couple of versions going
Okay.
on. The 50,000 is for the election, not the census.
Yes, that is for the election.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my question.
Any further discussion on item 4? Go on and vote, please.
We may have had too many people.
Item 4 passes unanimously 8-0. Thank you, board. Okay, so item 5, item 6, and item 7 are the same thing. So it's 120,000 for items 5 and 6 and 110,000. So the disparity I don't quite get. So would you mind, Alderman Linville, you were down 10 grand. Would you mind to go up to 120, or do you want
I'm
the others?
great with that. 120 is fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So items 4, 5, 6, and 7, we're asking for 120,000, and Alderman Cox, I'll let you speak on this one.
Thanks, Mayor. So micro business specialist, so, Pam had brought this up to us in a previous meeting, and, I've had an opportunity to talk to some of our small and micro businesses, and after sitting down and talking with what they've tried to go through in some cases to make updates. It's clear to me that we are leaving them in the dark. There's not any support. In fact, some have said they feel that the city it doesn't want them to succeed, that they don't have, the city doesn't have their back. Many are trying to make payroll. They're 10 or fewer employees and trying to navigate the development code, trying to know who to talk with within the city is very cumbersome and very stressful. And as we further look at June Lake, we further look at developing our downtown, where a lot of these micro businesses will likely want to be. We need to prepare in order to help them succeed and show that we do have their back. So that's why I have supported this.
Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion in the amount of $120,000 from the general fund for the micro business specialist.
Alderman Cox makes a motion for items 5, 6, and 7, seconded by Alderman Linville. Is there any discussion? Alderman Nieves.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Cox, I can appreciate your comments and your position on that, and those of you who are supporting this. I'm not supporting this item, and here's the reason why. As I said before, I think we're putting the cart before the horse. We do not have an economic development plan and strategy in place. That has to be in place so that we know where we want to go, what kind of objectives, what's the end result we're looking for. If we continue to add and put money toward things that have to do with economic development, yet we are not taking the time that we said we would. That was one reason I threw that in the budget amendments, so that everybody could see that and remind everyone that we have said we're going to fund economic development strategy plan from last year and our comprehensive plan. All those good plans that we had in place from 2015 and so on, they're all outdated, yet we're making decisions spending taxpayer money on things that we still don't have a clear understanding. Yes, we're growing, and yes, we do have small businesses that need help. I know personally know and work with a lot of small businesses here. My business deals with advertising and marketing and consulting, and I find that the majority of the small businesses here, they're looking for incentives like we give to big companies. They're looking for opportunities where they're not having to pay these high prices for waste management and things like that that eat at the bottom line for them. They very seldom are coming here for development issues, the kinds of things that we see happening through the Planning Commission, unless they're some franchise or they want to add something to their building. And I'm not saying that those things aren't important, but I do believe the money that we're spending for these kinds of things could be and should be put toward what we had said we would do in the first place, to be good stewards of the economic development direction for the city. So I can't support that, and I'm hoping that my colleagues would look at that again and understand the fact that we should be coming together to ensure that we first have a plan. And that plan, by the way, should be including things, segments of it for commercial and industrial, small business development, and entrepreneurship incubator programs. And that's where I could see a specialist like this or even that part of the program included.
Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be supporting this tonight. And I really want to echo a lot of Alderman Cox's comments. This isn't an abstract thing that we're talking about where, we hope to attract small business. No, I've had no less than 5 conversations with small businesses over the past year where they have had trouble navigating our Uniform Development Code simply to be able to open up for business in Spring Hill. And that's not the fault of our planning staff. It's simply that our UDC, I think, is designed for larger corporations who have the ability to pay advisors to help them navigate the process. And so, like I said, this isn't an abstract, desire. This is something that's needed right now to help encourage our small business community to thrive and to attract those sorts of businesses to the city. One thing that we hear from the citizens all the time is that there are a lot of chains and corporate type establishments in Spring Hill. We certainly welcome them to the city, but we also want to have a healthy mix of small businesses as well. And so, one other thing, to speak to a little bit of what Alderman Nieves just brought up is, as serving on the Planning Commission, a lot of times, we're not seeing the small business even make it to that point because they've gotten bogged down in the process of trying to even get there or know how to navigate to get to that point. And so, what this position would do is help make sure that every sort of business, anyone who wants to open up for business in Spring Hill, has the opportunity and the ability to do so. We certainly want to encourage that in any sort of plan that we have, and so I'll be supporting this tonight.
Ms. Caskey.
Yes, thank you. As you know, this is a passion of mine, and I'm not going to hide that. I do want to call attention to a couple things. Number one, somebody needs to walk these small businesses through our process. You have added an associate planner to this position, and it would be likely that if this does not pass, that person's going to be the one that gets this job. Here's the difference. That person's going to get consumed by all the other stuff that goes on in that department because it's very, very busy. And I'm afraid we will end up thinking we're taking care of small business when in fact it just gets sucked into the large piece of the corporate development world. Also, this gives us the ability to tell small businesses that we're here for them, we want them, and we want to support them. If we don't put this position in place, we're going to lose that opportunity. And then finally, I think there are other things that this position is keyed around doing. One of them is being staff for the Town Center Development and Historic Commission and the CLG process, all of which are important priorities which we have absolutely no staff to deal with. And so this is a way to get those projects done as well, because those projects are actually exactly where small businesses tend to go. And so you'll be able to support it. I will also remind the board that when we did the advance last August, supporting small business was one of your priorities. And this is clearly a direct outreach of that goal.
Alderman Nieves.
Yeah, just lastly, I'll say, I'm passionate about this as well, and small business is right up my alley. And I can tell you that small businesses in this community are hurting. They're having a hard time being able to even keep enough staff to keep their doors open. Their bottom line is what they're looking at. What can the city do? What can we do to help support small businesses to be able to thrive in this community? And those are things from shop local, supporting local, and doing the kinds of things that have not been in place at the scale that it should be, as well as being able to understand that they need breaks on taxes and things like that that help them survive. They're right now at the same level of anybody else, the Home Depot or anyone else. They pay the same things here. So those are the things that really are important for small businesses in this community, and our city should get behind that.
Alderman Pomeroy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be supporting it tonight for all the reasons that Alderman Linville mentioned, and also while our larger business development plan may be out of date, I think a micro business specialist could help drive up a newer one that we can use, and putting the horse before the cart, like it should be, with the micro business specialist. And I also look forward to working with them on the CLG process, and that's going to be something that I'm going to be introducing as a passion of mine, and I'll be supporting it tonight.
Alderman Murray.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm supporting is because it sounds like from what Pam has shared is, I guess the best way to put it is trying to be the jack of all trades and being the king of none. When you have people trying to do all these multiple different things, we're talking about small businesses. We're talking about people's livelihoods, their abilities to do business throughout the city. So I think if there's anything we should dedicate some money to, is to make sure that we have someone working on their behalf to help them navigate the issues that they have day in and day out. And I agree with Alderman Nieves that we should look for ways to cut taxes and things to help them, flourish. And this is, I look at this as a forward-thinking project, because as we continue to develop the downtown area and various, obviously, other areas, we need somebody to run with this and take the ball and run, put a plan together. We need somebody that can spearhead that and give their time, attention, and detail to that, so that it's not just, well, if somebody's here and they can do this. I want them to get the attention that Alderman Nieves was speaking to about making sure that we're working on their behalf. So I'm looking at it as a forward-thinking measure to make sure that we can help assist.
Seeing there's no further discussion, go ahead and vote, please, on this amendment, which will cover 5, 6, and 7. This amendment passes 7-1. Thank you, Board. Moving on, item number 8, Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to amend Ordinance 2210 to add in an item from the general fund balance for a special census in early 2023 to contract with Thompson Hutton, who's done this in the past for us, to recount our population to increase our share of state tax revenue based on population. And the reason that, been going back and forth with staff about this, since 2020, when the federal census was done, that was done at the beginning half of 2020. So I think the deadline was either March or April, and so April 1st. And so since then, we've had about 2.5 years, or by the time we'll have had the census, about 2.5 years worth of growth in the city. We'll have had roughly about 2,500 building permits during that time. If you multiply that by 2.8, that's about the number of citizens that we would expect to add to our state share of revenue. We get a portion per person from the state of revenue that comes down to us. And talking to staff, I think that in year one, so next fiscal year, this should about pay for itself if we start the process in August and get everything up and running by January or February. And then next fiscal year, it should give us about $500,000 in new revenue to be able to play with for next year's budget, just by going ahead and doing this. Seems like a no-brainer. It would pay for itself and then provide us additional revenue in year 2. And so that's why I think we should.
So there is a motion for $145,000, seconded by Alderman Fitter. Any discussion on this item? Go ahead and vote, please. This item passes 7-1. Thank you, Board. Item number 9, Alderman Nieves.
Thank you, Mayor. This position is for a webmaster. I tried to make a bit of a note out here to give a little more scope of what I'm talking about. We know that there was an option for a contracted service. This would give us a webmaster / actually, this really should have been retitled to a web developer's webmaster, so that we can invest in a position that can not only help us create a website that is needed for this city, but also have the skill sets, which is common in the marketplace for graphic arts. Usually they also know social media, email marketing, those kinds of other things, as well as software, web-based software that has to do with websites. And so we need someone who has that understanding, who is able to not only build it, and that's a whole nother topic as to what they build it in, but I believe that this is an investment that we cannot, we just can't ignore it. We need this now. So I really ask everyone please to support that.
So are you making a
So,
motion?
okay, I make a motion. I move to amend for webmaster in the amount of, I lost my place, $75,532.
So we've got a motion for webmaster.
Second.
Alderman Nieves, seconded by Alderman Fitterer. Is there any discussion on this? Alderman Fitterer.
Ms. Caskey, can you remind me, do we have this in as a contracted position at the moment?
Yes, there's $30,000 in to do a web development, and then next year we were anticipating hiring a webmaster. However, Alderman Nieves makes a valid point that somebody who could do it all would be a benefit.
So,
Yeah, you're gonna
is
ask me, can we?
75 in addition to the 30?
I don't know so 75 was the salary for a year, but if we wanted to be a developer and a master, we may have to go up on the salary, so that's why I would at this
So it'd be
point.
the 75 and the 30,
30.
that give you some room to see where we're
Right.
at in the market. Okay, thank you.
So I have some discussion. So I like this idea because I think that, you know, it could be, we definitely need something like this, but the word and type recurring, I don't know if we need to continue to pay someone once we get this up and running. Don't we have enough skill set in the city to just,
A, we don't have the skill set, and B, we don't have the dedicated time. So what happens is the website becomes something that everybody does when they don't have anything else to do, which never happens.
is that right, staff? All right.
So that's the reason that we decided that we really needed to fund somebody focused on this.
Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Caskey, I know building a new website is a big project, especially for one person. Generally, with these sorts of firms, you're outsourcing a team. Is this the preferred approach that staff would have?
So at this point, we have done a lot of research, and we are looking at continuing to use Civic Plus. I don't believe that we have the qualifications in-house, nor do I want to get in bed with one particular approach that only one person can use. So I particularly like the idea of using Civic Plus. We already have a contract with them, and they owe us a new website. So I kind of hate to walk away from a free deal, if you will, and it's not completely free, but it's free enough. That said, so we'll be using their software, and it will be a team, but this person will be the leader of the team, the lassoer of the team, and the person that ongoing makes sure that all the pages are up to date and that we stay current on things, because at this point, we're falling behind, and I know it.
This is an acceleration from the next year's budget, correct?
Yes, it is. It was, in our 2-year project, we had the contract service this year and then the webmaster the next year. I'm fine to move it up and to put it into one position. I think Hazel makes a good choice. I'm hoping we can find somebody. That's my big concern.
The only question that I have is, I know there's a lot of lead time potentially in finding someone, whereas an outsourced firm could be able to hit the ground running. I'm not particularly, married to either approach, but I just know there's pros and cons to both.
Alderman Nieves.
Yeah, Mayor, I just want to just address Alderman Linville's comment, because I will say that, at least in my time here, I've been through 2 websites. I'm sure Matt's been through more, but that is the issue long-term, is when you are dealing with a website that is not built that's not proprietary. This is a proprietary. Okay, so we don't own the source code. There's very little we can do, and that's been a huge problem. But I will say that I have had a web development company for 15 years, and one good web developer, webmaster can develop and maintain a very, very proficient professional site. So it is possible.
Alderman Cox.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I agree that we definitely need to move into hiring this position. One of the things that I did when first being elected and trying to get some of the different things up on Keep Spring Hill Clean was doing research and trying to find information. And I was finding outdated information that had just never been pulled down. And I was getting confused as to what our current practice was. And I've worked with Lori Lazinski over the last year, and she's been fantastic. But she's very clear to me. She says, This is not what my specialty is, but I'm going to do my best. And she's done a fantastic job, and I think getting somebody into this role who will help support her and communication and keeping this website current as we make changes and that information is instantly updated will be huge for us.
Any further discussion? Go ahead and vote, please. This item number 9 passes for $75,532 for new webmasters, 8-0. Thank you, board, unanimous. Item number 10, Alderman Conapari.
Thank you, Mayor. The current budget, this is just to supplement the current budget. We had a part-time mental health professional in there to work with the critical incident team. And I don't think even one is enough. What we have to do is look at the newspapers and the media, and we're finding that police agencies all over the country are facing more and more calls, especially with COVID keeping everybody in for 2 years. They're responding to calls that fall maybe in line of a mental issue rather than an armed robbery and so in Spring Hill, after talking to Chief Bright, there's an awful lot of those mental issue calls or suicide calls or drug-related calls. And I'm just, with the way the labor market is, I think it would be, number one, a lot easier to find somebody who is spending full time on the job than trying to find somebody who's only going to work 20 hours a week or whatever. And like I said before, I don't think that even one is enough. So I'm making a motion to amend Ordinance 2210 by adding another 1/2 person as a mental health professional to assist the critical incident team.
Motion to add another position on item 10 by Alderman Conapari.
Second.
Second by Alderman Fitter. Any discussion on item 10? Alderman Fitter.
Alderman Canapari, would this leave us with 2 half-time people or 1 full-time person?
I'm hoping 1 full-time person.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Alderman Conapari? Nope. Okay, go ahead, vote, please. Item 10 carries 6-2, sorry. 6-2. Thank you. Item number 11, Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move to amend Ordinance 2210 to increase our contribution to Williamson Inc. by $10,000 from the general fund.
Motion for item 11 on the table by Alderman Linville. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Alderman Murray. Any discussion? Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, 2 primary reasons why I'm proposing this tonight. One is that Williamson Inc. is very involved. Williamson Inc. is our state economic development partner, and so whenever there's a lead that comes through the state that is interested in Williamson County, it goes to Williamson Inc. and they try to find an appropriate site for the location or for the new business that wants to come to the community. Right now, Spring Hill is, we're planning on opening next April, according to TDOT reports, the interchange to June Lake, which is one of the most desired and sought after economic development locations in the mid-state. And so in recognition of their efforts to place businesses into June Lake, first off, and then second off, currently we give Murray Alliance $20,000, and so to true up both sides, I think it's appropriate to give increase Williamson Inc. from 10 to 20 to match, to keep both economic development partners equal. And so for those 2 reasons, I believe that we should move this forward tonight.
Alderman Pomeroy.
Thank you, Mayor. Just so the board's aware, I do have a conflict in this due to an ongoing civil matter. So I'm going to recuse myself from any debate and recuse myself from the vote on this line item.
Thank you. Alderman Nieves.
Thank you, Mayor. I will not be supporting this, and primary reason is that the chamber is the ones who normally are working with these organizations. I mean, all the chambers that are working together. I will be discussing this a little bit further down the road here as we go along tonight, but chambers are for profit, and chambers have their own agendas, which is rightfully so. They have a great place in our communities, but we're talking taxpayer money from the city of Spring Hill. There are a lot of other great organizations also that bring economy, they bring all kinds of programs that assist and help our community, but we're not funding them. We're not funding them. And so I don't believe that even though they are out getting economic development, and here we are again with a city that doesn't even have our own strategy, we're looking for others to provide that for us. We have been members for years now, and we do not have really a clear understanding of what that has benefited us. And so I do not believe that giving, and we already have been funding them, and then to increase it is the right direction or a good steward for the taxpayers in Spring Hill.
Any further discussion? Go ahead and vote, please. This item fails. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 to 4 to 1. Items 12, 13, 14, and 15 are pretty much the same thing. It's for $122,000 for a fast vehicle and equipment. So let's see, let's ask Alderman Canapari to defend this one, if you have a motion, sir.
I'm okay with the extra 10,000.
Mayor, I'll move to amend the general funding amount of $122,000 for the purposes of launching the fast vehicle program.
Second.
Motion to amend for $122,000 for items 12, 13, 14, and 15 by Alderman Fitter, seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion on this item? These
Two items. One, this is recommended that we do a draw from our current fund balance. Our current fund balance right now, as you can see, is estimated at the end of the year to be $37 million. We need to keep $10 to $17 million in the bank, so we've got some room. We have already put into the operating budget the money for the 3 firefighters. So just make sure that you realize you're drawing down the fund balance. So what we're going to do in the next amendment is the next version of the budget is we'll show you an amount that we're going to pull from what's called prior year revenues, and we'll put that amount as the revenue source to offset all of the things that you choose that are coming from fund balance.
Any further discussion? Go ahead and vote, please. This amendment passes regarding 12, 13, 14, and 15. Ms. Goad, you got that? Okay, thank you. Item number 16, Alderman Nieves.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for the Sportsplex land acquisition. I was going back and looking at this. This is one that we also was a carryover from last budget. And I was looking also from the Park and Recreation Master Plan that I believe was 2020 that plan was approved and adopted by BOMA. This was another thing that, because it was clear in our master plan, we do not have enough facilities, park facilities for a city of this population. And the Sportsplex was one of the things as well that they called out as being a positive for Parks and Recs as well. So I was kind of surprised I didn't see my other colleagues here get on this, but this was for land acquisition. So I moved to amend the budget for Sportsplex land acquisition for $400,000.
Alderman Nieves moves to item 16 for 400K,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Pomeroy. Any discussion? Alderman Conapari.
Mayor, I want to bring the board's attention to items 31, 32, 33, 34. And it seems to me like we all had the same idea. Well, these are for Parks and Recreation.
Yours were for sports, not, yeah.
The sports?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Specifics.
Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Nieves, can you clarify, is this simply pulling over the allocation we had last year for the, okay, this is not new money, okay. Great, I'm all in favor of that.
Just want to be sure that was in there.
Alderman Pomeroy.
Thank you. 400,000, that's the correct number. As you can see from number 17, I had this, but my number is different. Is it the four?
Yeah, last year you pulled 100,000.
So this is 100 plus 300,000 new dollars?
That would be my assumption. So, and let me make sure everybody understands. That 100 is now sitting aside on our balance sheet. It doesn't have to be rolled over every year. It's there. You've done that. It's sitting as a dedicated pot. It's like putting money in a savings account and not spending it. So you don't have to keep allocating it every year. So the way this is worded, I would assume this is 400,000 out of the current fund balance that would be added to the 100,000 that's already there for a total of 500,000 in the little kitty for sports parks. That would be what I would understand this motion to be.
So I would say, it's possible I made a mistake. I thought I got the right number from the last time, and I'd be willing to either wait for the next one, or we can, I want it to pass. Or willing to make a change on the fly on the total here. Does anybody have that? I don't have that document open, and it would take me a while to go back and find it.
So if we added the 400, it'd be a $500,000, right? I'm okay with 400.
All right.
And guys, you're not going to do this for less than several million, so
Yeah,
you're still a ways to go. Right.
Alderman Linville. No, Alderman Pomeroy.
Thank you, Mayor. And so, next, under the department, I had it under facilities. Is it Parks and Rec? Which is the correct one?
Yeah, it's Parks and Rec.
It's Parks and Rec, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for 400K and a second. Alderman
Second.
Murray. It is seconded, sir. No further discussion, please vote. On item 16 carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you, Board. Item 17, Alderman Pomeroy.
Yep. Mayor, this item 17 was incorporated in item 16, so I'm going to withdraw it. We just voted on it, so I'm
Okay.
good with it.
Thank you. Ms. Goad? Good? Thank you. Item 18, Alderman Linville.
Mayor, I'd like to ask if we move this to the end, and the reason being is because essentially, if we're being a board that's fiscally conservative, if, we're pulling from our fund balance, which is inflated because, we've had additional tax revenue come in over the past few years where the expenses have not matched them, due to the pandemic and a lot of other reasons. But my intention is to offer an amendment to set aside money for a rainy day fund in an equal amount to whatever we pull from fund balance for other projects, just to maintain that fiscal conservatism of not just spending the fund balance on things that we want to see happen right now, but also make sure that we're fiscally sound moving forward as well. And so I would request we move this amendment to the end of the request.
Alderman Fitter, yours is similar. Would you go with that? All right, so items 18 and 19 will be after item 4006 or whatever it is, something like that. Okay, we'll come back to that. That's a joke. There's a lot. All right. Item number 20, Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, getting my paper back in order. I'd like to move to amend ordinance 2210 to add in $1 million for a fire engine for Station 4 from general fund balance.
All right, item to approve to add amendment for 2210, item number 20 for $1 million, seconded by Alderman Linville, seconded by Alderman Fitterer. Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Canapari.
I just want to note that Alderman Canapari also put this in for $1.5 million. I have confirmed with Chief Glenn that $1 million will do it.
That was going to be my question.
I'm a mind reader.
So, any further discussion on item number 20? Alderman Nieves.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question. So this, mine is all screwed up, so sorry. So I have Canterbury and Linville here for fire engine for Station 4. And so Station 4, what about Station 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I thought we talked about funding a whole.
yeah, so, but this truck is separate and apart from the station. But part of this is driven by the fact that we need 2 trucks probably for Station 2 or Station 4. This gets us 1 to start. We have a place to park it if it gets here before the station is built. But the way these guys are going, these truck builders are going, we're at least 2 years. 28 months was what the last thing I heard at the TCMA meeting the other day that one of the departments had gotten. So, you know, I think if we've got the money to start a truck now, we're better off to do it. We'll run it some and get it broken in before the station is built.
So Station 4 apparatus fitter, is this the same thing?
Same thing.
Same thing, so all 3 of you have that, okay.
Any further discussion?
3.5 minutes.
Nice. Go ahead and vote, please.
You're giving Kevin over here, he's getting like, yeah.
Okay, that item carries unanimously 8-0. So items 21 and items 22 are the same thing, so we can move on to item 23. Is that okay, board?
That's okay. I was going to ask Alderman Murray if he can roll this with the other parkland discussion. A couple of items down.
Yep, I can.
Okay. Thank you. So item 23 is rolled with items 18 and 19. So items 24, 25, and 26 are all the same thing as well. Let's ask Alderman Fitterer to defend that one.
Mayor, move to amend the general fund amount of $200,000 for the purposes of a health reimbursement true-up. As we all know, we are moving from the Drury Group to the state shared risk pool fund on the employee health insurance. With that comes a slight change in the deductible to the employees, and this is the amount necessary to keep the employees whole over a 3-year period and be prorated and slowly sunset.
All right.
And keeping in mind, we're saving over $1 million by making a switch, so
That's a good thing to
$200,000
keep
for
in mind.
true-up is
$1 million saving.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. So Alderman Fitterer has a motion to increase the budget by $200K, seconded by Linville, Alderman Linville, for items 24, 25, and 26. Any discussion? Go ahead and vote, please. Those items combined carry unanimously 8-0. Thank you, board. Item number 27, Alderman Nieves.
Mayor, would you like me to take those 4, because they're all budget cuts? Is that all right? It would be.
Yes, that would be
they're
good. So
like
items
right in
27, 28, 29, and 30. Thank you.
I
That's a
didn't know
great
if those
call.
are all in order on yours or not. Okay. Once again, I'm so surprised I'm the only one putting budget cuts in here, but here we go. So starting with memberships, I had $50,200 here. And these memberships are, let me get my notes right here. This is to stop funding for memberships to all chambers until a statement of deliverables showing specific return on investments for city annual contribution. And in addition, all chambers shall provide the BOMA year-to-date financials just as required for other contributions and donations found within the city's charitable donation policy and, of course, Ripavilla's agreement. The reason I bring this forward, and I bring it forward so everyone knows every single year, every single budget, and the reason I'm bringing this forward is it's not in any way to devalue the services of a chamber for our city, but they are just like any other organization, or the requirement we have even for charitable donations for organizations to come in and ask for that. They have to show their profit and loss. They have to show financials, and they have to show deliverables. This is, as you know, not our money, it's the city's money, our citizens' money. And there should be some type of reporting and accountability for the deliverables for those funds. As I have been an alderman now for 3 years, I've not seen anything except statements. Statements about we do this, we do that, but nothing to show what we've actually received in the city for those funds, and how we've increased the business community here, increased tax revenue, sales, any of those things. Nor do we see the profit and loss, or at least a financial sheet, because these organizations make money. They're for profit. And just like we're asking nonprofits and we're asking the Ripavilla and others to provide that to us, that's just good stewardship. So this is the reason I am asking, or I am amending the budget concerning the memberships. And I'll just go through real quick, and then I'll just throw them all together. I'm also asking to remove the funding for the MPO. I just kind of grouped them the way Pam had them in the budget. This is the RTA and all of those. I would rather see, again, these are organizations that have provide different things, but we don't get any kind of report to really let us know where that tax dollars go, how that benefits our citizens. I would rather see those monies invested in the Spring Hill Parks. That's what I would propose. As far as the next one is public relations, and we have the retail strategies, EDC. Again, removing those, and any funding that's available there would go to parks and recs. The RTA subsidy, I've looked at their numbers, and every single year, and especially I do know that the pandemic has caused, a very low ridership, but they've had low ridership compared to the population in the city the entire time, and I don't believe their ridership supports that funding. That funding could go to park and recreation as well. So should I just make an amendment to move for all of them? I don't have the same numbers you have, Mayor.
That's
the
fine.
line numbers.
So you briefed us all, so let's do each one, because there's differences, and so let's just go one by one.
Okay.
So item 27, first of all, let's just go with this. Do you make an
Memberships?
amendment for item 27, which is just the chamber? Is there a second on that one? Yes. Okay, is there a second for?
Second.
All right, there's a second. So Alderman Nieves, amendment 27 to remove funding, seconded by Alderman Murray. Is there any discussion? Alderman Pomeroy.
I'm going to recuse myself from this vote due to I represent a client in an ongoing civil matter, so same reasons I recused myself previously.
And I also, on item 27, I have a conflict of interest in that one with some of the things that are listed in here, so I have to recuse myself for that. Any other discussion?
Which one would you read those out?
So item 27, that is specifically the memberships to the chambers.
Okay.
That's all we're talking about right now, just 27. Right?
That's all we're talking about now.
Mayor, I might just for clarification, not to weigh in on an opinion at all, this is your decision, But I do want to remind you that all three of these organizations, Maury Alliance, Williamson Inc., and the Sevier County sorry, haven't made that mistake yet. I knew it was going to come eventually. The Spring Hill Chamber, too many places start with an S. All three of those are actually formed as 501c6s. They are not for-profit. They are development organizations for economic development. And I will also remind you that the two county organizations are the state's economic development arms, and if we are not a participant in those programs, we really don't have any way to tap into state economic development activities. We may not want to, and that is certainly your right, but I do want to remind you of that so that you're aware of the status.
Same thing with the Ripavilla, and many of these others are 501(c)(6).
Yeah, Ripperville is 501c3. Yeah, these are C6s.
Yes.
Any further discussion? So to surmise again, what we are voting on is there's a motion and a second to remove funding, to remove it regarding the funding the chambers as broken down. The memberships. So go ahead and vote. This motion fails 5 to 2 to 1. All right.
5 to 1 to 2.
Thank you, 5 to 1 to 2. Thank you for the correction, rightly so. All right, moving on. Item number 28. And Alderman Yeves, you have a motion for this.
Yes, I have a motion for the MPO-RTS Central Human Resources Agency, whatever, that whole line, to remove funding on a total of $10,846.
And that's actually just the MPO dues. That's all. It's a whole long list.
Okay. Yeah.
We have Jessica worried that we're going to try to take away Dre Tech dues, and we are not, because that's in the Water and Sewer Fund. Did I read your mind? This is MPO dues.
Motion to remove $10,846 from MPO. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Murray. Discussion, Alderman Fitter.
The MPO is our avenue towards federal road dollars. Our interchange would not be built if we weren't members of the MPO.
Alderman Linville.
I was going to say the same thing. I think cutting off this membership would be penny wise and pound foolish potentially, because that's how we get on the list for other for significant road projects. So I would be supporting this.
Alderman Pomeroy.
I just had a question for Alderman Yeves. You have RTA on there, but then on 30 you got the RTA. You mean?
That's our problem.
Okay.
It's the way our chart of accounts is currently done. It's bad. We'll get it fixed soon. But right now, the only thing that's actually in there is the MPO dues. It's just, trust me, it's just a holdover of long ago.
Can you, I'm sorry.
Alderman Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you clarify real quick for me, when we pay these dues, what does this give us?
It basically gives us a seat at the table. I mean, that's what it gives us. You know, we belong to these organizations. They get their funding from a wide variety of sources. But the reality is, when you pay the dues, you get to sit at the table and have the discussion. There's no guarantees of what's going to come out of it. It's not a, I put $1 in and I get 5 out, you know. But if you're not at the table, that doesn't mean you won't get anything. But it also won't mean that you'll have an advocate for the conversation when you're there. So.
Thank you.
Seeing there's no further discussion, again, what we're talking about is the stop the funding for the MPO of $10,846. Please vote.
Yeah, I get it.
This item Fails 7-1. Thank you, Board. Item 29. I'm sorry, Alderman Nieves, Public Relations and EDC.
Public Relations, EDC, Retail Strategy, in the amount of $17,000. I move to amend the budget by removing this item.
All right, no, Alderman Nieves, to remove $17,000 to amend our ordinance 2210. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Murray. Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, please vote, Board. This item fails 7-1. Thank you, Board. Item number 30, Alderman Nieves.
RTA?
RTA transportation.
Again, the RTA transportation subsidy, I move to amend the budget by removing the total of $42,400 for that item.
Removing $42,400 by Alderman Nieves, seconded by
Second.
Alderman Pomeroy. Any discussion on this item? Alderman Pomeroy.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to the boards, last year when I looked at this, I had the same reservations that Alderman Nieves had. I contacted RTA through the MTA system, spoke with them pretty thoroughly about it, and we get the 42,000 is a small. What we pay is a small amount compared to what other funds come in. I also heard from numerous citizens last year who actually do take this bus transportation system up to Nashville, and so I was in support of it last year. I was in support of the subsidy last year. I'm going to support the subsidy again this year because of that research I did last year on it.
I'm sorry, you are or are not in?
I'm in support of the subsidy, so I'm going to oppose the amendment.
Okay, thank you.
We seconded it. It's for
Yeah,
discussion.
well, I wanted to mention that.
Okay.
I could have done.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Please vote. This motion fails 7-1. Thank you, Board. Item 31, Alderman Kanapari. Let's go item 31, 32, 33, and 34. Okay, 18, 19, and 23.
And Brett Murray's, yeah.
Just 23. Just 23.
Just 23, okay. Hang on, making a note. So items 23, 31, 32, 33, and 34. Let's go with Alderman Pomeroy. Will you please defend this one?
Well, actually, I was buzzing in to say I'm going to withdraw my line number 32, and I would just withdraw. It was supposed to be, I thought it was going to get cut from before tonight, but it didn't, so it was supposed to be removed.
Thank you.
Whoops.
Alderman Kanapari.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think we have money set aside in an account already, don't we, for parkland? Yes. For 100,000. And this is just my attempt at putting some weight behind that. 200,000. So this is just my attempt at putting some weight behind our attempt. We had that Park and Recreation study done, and we have a plan, parkland plan. And one thing that was found is that we're woefully behind in providing recreation areas. And this is just my attempt to put $500,000 into that account.
Are you making a motion, sir?
Yes, so I'm making a motion to amend ordinance 2210 in the amount of $500 for a one-time, 500,000, what did I say? One time? 500,000, one-time addition to the budget.
We have a motion to amend the budget to $500,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Murray. Is there discussion? All right, so items 23, 31, 32, 33, and 34. Seeing there's
Different
no,
amounts.
Mine's a little different there.
sorry, items 23 and 31. That's it, 23 and 31 for 500,000. Any further discussion? Alderman Fitter.
I was going to say, I'm happy to support a larger number. As Alderman Murray suggested, I'm opposed to identifying specific pieces of property because I think that puts us at a competitive disadvantage when we go and try to make an acquisition. So as long as it's a general fund without a property being identified or even a portion of the city being identified, I think that gives us the greatest flexibility to be opportunistic. The reality of the situation is we're not going to get in a competitive pricing situation and win against private dollars. I'd very much like there to be more northern parkland since I live on the very northern edge of the city, but I would rather have some parkland even in a less convenient location to me than none at all. So by all means, make an amendment to a larger number. I'll support that, but to be specific about where it is, I can't support it.
Okay. So.
Alderman Murray.
So I appreciate Alderman Fitterer's support, and the reason I did put this in there, my thought process was simply this. I was looking at a specific piece, and the reason being because the Harvey Park Greenway is going to end right at this piece of property. It's right across, it's off Wilkes, but it's right across from the new elementary school that's going up. It would be a second needed park on the north side. I was looking at a specific area. That's why the amount was 1.5, because I tried to do a little research to see maybe what that would cost. That was the reason why I had the specifics in there, to try to marry it to the Harvey Park Greenway tournaments where that ends, and it could end into a park.
Alderman Canapari.
Yeah, Mayor, I would support a larger amount, so I withdraw my motion for the 500,000, and I'd make the motion for 1,500,000 for a general fund set aside for parkland, a sinking fund.
Second that.
All right, so we have a withdrawn motion from Alderman Canapari and a new motion from Alderman Canapari to go for 1.5 mil, seconded by Alderman Linville. Any discussion on this new amendment? Alderman Nieves.
So I'm willing to change my total that I had there. I'm a little confused because now we have a whole bunch of different numbers, so. Well, we have one number that's been seconded, yes, but I mean, on here, we have different ideas here, so.
I think everybody's saying that they can support the 1.5.
Is that what everybody?
I think that's what I heard.
With no geographic restrictions.
Pardon?
With no geographic restrictions, is all I'm going to say.
Okay, go ahead and vote, please. This amendment motion carries 8-0 unanimously. Thank you, Board. Ms. Goad, you have that? That's clear? All right, so with that, just making sure, so items then 33 and 34 were rolled into that, which were Alderman Nieves was the Parkland Acquisition Fund and Alderman Linville the Parkland Acquisition Fund as well. Moving to item 35 and 36 are pretty much the same thing. Alderman Fitter and Alderman Canapari. Alderman Fitter, go ahead.
Move to amend the general fund amount $200,000 for the purposes of playground equipment. This was a staff recommended fund balance drop.
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Fitter moves to amend the budget ordinance 2210 for $200K, seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion on this item? Please vote. Items 35, 36, and 37 carry unanimously 8-0. Thank you, Board. KOS. All right, at 7:30, we are about halfway done through our budget amendment requests. It is at 7:40, we will start again, so we're on a 10-minute break. Thank you. Actually, you're at bat. We're on item 38.
Can we just, I can run through these quick, because I
All right?
think this captures multiple line items together. But there were conversations around some initial design and NEPA planning for a couple arterial roads. I think we saw some communication from staff late last week that we missed out on a grant opportunity because we didn't have some of this work done. So these will be 3 separate amendments, but they're all designed to achieve the same thing, to get some initial design work and potentially environmental work done that's required for any kind of federal dollars on transportation. So we'll move to amend the general fund by drawing $600,000 from the fund balance for the purposes of initial design and NEPA for Buckner Road.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the budget for $600K by Alderman Fitter, seconded by Alderman Linville. And so before I ask for discussion from the board, where's this, what line item are you on, Matt?
I'm grouping several of these capital project increases.
So for example,
together.
for clarity, and thank you, so item,
So basically, I'm taking 38 through 47 in 3 items here.
okay,
Well, correct that. 38 and then 40 through 47.
38 through 47. So at one point, just to make sure you asked for 600K, you, at one, on line item 40, you put 750, but so you're fine with 600K.
I think staff has fine-tuned the number a little bit. I was making a wag.
Yeah, on line 44, that's informed by staff recommendation for the 600,000 for the initial design and NEPA for Buckner Road.
Yes. Okay,
And that came right from the Cordino group as of late Friday afternoon.
all right, so,
That incorporates my 38, I'm good with it.
thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second to compile line items 38 through 47 for a total of 600,000. Is there any
Well,
discussion?
there's going to be 3 different amendments, and line 39 is the ADA improvements is separate.
Okay, so Alderman Linville, did you have something else you'd like for a moment?
I think the intention, and I don't want to speak for Matt, but I think the intention would be to offer the amounts under 44, 45, and 46, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yours are educated numbers.
They're just later.
So line items 38, 44, 45, and 46 for 600,000. All right. we have a-
No, there's 3 amendments coming. This is the first one, just to do the work on Buckner Road.
If I might, maybe I can make this a little clearer. Buckner Road is 600,000. That NEPA is good, these NEPAs are good for 3 years. We believe that we need to do the Buckner Road NEPA and the Port Royal NEPA to be able to go after federal funding. We are concerned about doing the NEPA on Kedron for fear that we will waste that money, but we do believe we need to do the initial design. And unfortunately, unless Gerald's got a calculator at his hip and can rerun that number, I don't know what the initial design versus the NEPA is. So if you know how to take out the NEPA, that would be great. No, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. As long as nobody expects us to get the NEPA done, because we think we might be wasting money. So,
Okay,
fair enough.
so for this
Thank you.
amendment proposal, we're taking item 38, item 40, correct? Item 40 still?
38, 40, 44.
Yeah, those are all.
Okay, got it. All right, is there any discussion on this? Go ahead and vote, please. Thank you. So budget is amended, pass 8-0. Thank you, board. which satisfies 600,000 for items 38, 40, and 44. Item number 39, Alderman Cox.
Thanks, Mayor. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and have this removed. I had obviously done my part in isolation and with some of the other voting. It was really just an opportunity to throw some extra money in there, but based on some of my other voting, I'm fine with having that removed for right now.
Thank you.
88 side next.
Item number 41, Alderman Kanapari.
Yeah, Mayor, this is, this is for the widening of Port Royal and Kedron again, so I think it,
Can you talk to either 45 or 46? One or the other, pick one, I don't care which one.
yeah, it would be 45.
Okay.
In
and-
general discussion we had a couple of minutes ago, but Port Royal Road, am I correct, Alderman Canterbury?
Royal Road.
It's your,
Item 45, Alderman Linville's asking for 650,000, and you're asking Alderman Kanapari for 500,000 for capital projects increase.
What's happened is Alderman Canterbury didn't have a good number. We now have a good number. So the 650,000 is the right number that Alderman Canterbury is looking for, I believe.
I think so, yeah. I didn't have the, this was done
Well,
before our
we had the
last
final
meeting.
number, yes, exactly.
Okay. So would you like to make a motion to ask for 650,000 for line item 41 as well as 45 together, which is Port Royal capital
Yes.
improvement?
I move that we amend ordinance 2210 in the amount of $600,000 for items 41 and 45?
If I can
Make that
correct, it's
650?
650,000.
Excuse me?
650.
That's what I said. No.
Thank you.
650,000.
All right, is there a
Second.
second? All right, we have a motion for 650K for line item 41 and 45 total by Alderman Kanapari, seconded by Alderman Linville. Any discussion on this? Pam, your light's on?
Sorry.
Okay. Please vote, board. Motion carries 8-0 unanimously. Thank you, board. So line item 42, is that going to go with line item 46 then? Is that how we're doing this?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So is the number 650 or is it 500?
650.
Okay, so Alderman Linville, go ahead, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance 2210 to incorporate, or to allocate $650,000 for the initial design and knee work for Kedron Road from general fund balance.
Are you seconding?
Second.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion for line item 42 and 46 to increase the budget of 650K. Motion by Alderman Linville, seconded by Alderman Cox. Any discussion on this item? Go ahead and vote, please. This amendment motion carries 8-0. Thank you, board. And item 43, Alderman Nieves, is this part of what we just did?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So item 43 is part of the satisfaction of 650K. Thank you. And Alderman Fitter, so 47, did we cover item 47 with this? or is
yeah, I
this-
believe all these items have been addressed.
Thank you. Okay, item 48.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
If I may, back up to the rainy day fund, I've got us at 5.3. I don't know if you want to make a motion, I'm comfortable around 3.
Do we have additional projects that would be coming from fund balance?
No, we're done.
Well,
What about Fire Station 4?
Never mind, I apologize.
That's right, sorry, yeah, forgot about that
So items 18 and line items 18 and 19 are still deferred till later, correct?
Correct.
All right. Items 48 and 49, I think they say the same thing, Alderman Linville?
Well, this would, and I might need staff's help for this amendment, but this would be to establish the interfund loan between the utilities department and the stormwater department for the stormwater projects that we had talked about. So move to amend ordinance 2210 to establish an interfund loan between utilities department and stormwater departments for stormwater projects.
With that wording, we can make the appropriate adjustments.
Great.
For $2 million, correct?
Or $2 million, yes.
Thank
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you. Alderman Linville makes a motion to amend the ordinance 2210 for $2 million, seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion on this item? Please vote. Motion carries 8-0 unanimously. Thank you, Board. Alderman Pomeroy. Line item 50 is 50 and 51. I read them as different, but are they different?
They are different.
All right, so line item 50, go, sir.
So this is for the historical site improvements for $5,000. We're currently categorizing all the cemeteries around Spring Hill. Some have been lost, some haven't. And it would not only go towards the cemeteries, but it could go to any historic building in Spring Hill. This is something that Murray County Historical Commission currently does. I'll give you an example. They gave my Grace Episcopal Church's historical building in Murray County, and they had made a donation to the church for some interior work at the church for the historical purposes. This would be a $5,000 that would go towards either signs on cemeteries that are around the city, and also the Public Works already does some of the work at cemeteries, just as a good gesture. So this would more probably allocate the funding towards that. It's designed to go. What would happen is a historical property would make an ask to the historical commission. We would review it, and if it fell within our criteria, we would approve it. That's where I see this money going, and it would help. It's of course to benefit all the historical sites around Spring Hill, and that's what it would be for.
Are you making a motion, sir?
So I make a motion to amend ordinance 2210 for $5,000 for historical site improvements out of the tourism fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Pomeroy makes a motion for $5,000 for line item 50, seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion? Please vote. Amendment motion carries 8-0 unanimously. Thank you, Board. Alderman Pomeroy, line item 51.
The next one is the Civil War Trails markers. You may remember we had a presentation, it was in January, and we had those brochures. I meant to bring them on tonight to show you. I'm sure you took it home and read them all. But I meant it's for the Civil War Trails markers to go. We've spoken to the Civil War Trails people, and that's the initial funds they're requesting for the startup cost to it. We've also spoken to get the right content in there. I've spoken with the state historian, Dr. Carol Van West, already, Battle Franklin Trust, to get the right narratives in all these historical markers and to link them all together with Columbia. Riverville has some, Thompson Station, Franklin, Winstead Hill, and those places. And that's just going off the presentation we had from in January. So that's what I'm asking for. So I'd make a motion to amend ordinance 2210 for the Civil War Trails markers out of the tourism fund for $25,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Pomeroy makes a motion to amend 2210 by $25,000, seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion on this item? Please vote, Board.
Mayor.
Oh, sorry, Alderman Nieves.
Thank you. Alderman Pomeroy, is this, are these funds, though, that you're asking for in addition to the funds that the tourism department the Historic Commission receives?
Yes, because these are going specifically for the Civil War Trails markers. the historical commission receives $10,000 separate from, just as a allotment to, separate from Civil War Trails markers. This is for those Civil War Trails markers to go in Spring Hill.
Right, but I'm just asking you, is this the funds that the Historic Commission receives from the board, from the BOMA, from the budget? Is this separate then? This is separate from that?
This is separate, yes. This is designated to go specifically for those trails markers, which this is the price they told us they need to begin here.
Any further discussion? Please vote. Line 50 carries 8-0 unanimously. Line 51, my bad. Thank you. Line item 52, Alderman Pomeroy.
Thank you. And this is, I just want to find out where the board's at with this. This is the parking lot that, well, there's no parking lot right now. It's at the bottom of the Battle of Spring Hill site, at the bottom of the hill. It's owned by the American Battlefield Trust. We don't own it. The American Battlefield Trust is a 501c3. I have spoke with them last year about making a parking lot there. There's an easement with the State Historical Commission. It would require me to jump through a lot of hoops to do it, and before I start jumping through those hoops, I'd like to know if the board would be supportive of a parking lot there and allocating funds towards that. I don't know if it's going to be $15,000. That's the number I guessed at. I could also ask them where they're going to be at, but before, the easement's very long from the State Historical Commission that has the easement on there. I think it would benefit the city of Spring Hill that it allocates that one area for parking. As of right now, it's an unpaved lot that if you're like me, your car might bottom out on it if you're trying to visit it. And it's for allocations of that specific area only. I could come back to the board later on in the year and ask for it once I do more work, but I just wanted to find out where everybody's at with it.
So would you like to make a motion?
Well, I move to amend ordinance 2210 for the parking lot of Battle of Spring Hill site, $15,000 out of the tourism fund.
Second.
Line item 52 by Alderman Pomeroy makes a motion for 15,000, seconded by Alderman Nieves. Discussion, Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Pomeroy, do you know how many spots of this lot would be?
20 to 25.
Okay. My fear is that this number is well low, but it's only a semi-informed opinion.
Alderman Linville, so when you say well low, you mean the money or the spots? The money,
The
right?
money,
Okay.
yes, the money.
Okay.
I got an estimate last year before the
I could be
crazy hit.
wrong, but
I think you're
yeah,
right.
I would be interested in a little, I guess, maybe some staff research into what that might cost, because my fear is that would be low.
Alderman Fitter.
Alderman Pomeroy, this is a positive project, but I think there's several other actions going on right now with the Tennessee Historical Society and American Battlefield Trust that pursuing this would complicate those other endeavors, and I don't think they're ready to be discussed publicly. So I would encourage you to give those other efforts some time and space, and you might get this accomplished anyways. So I'm voting against this.
I'll speak about, and there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work for me to do. There's a lot of endeavor. There's a lot of parties that play with this little parking lot, so I understand.
Any further discussion? Go ahead and vote, please. This amendment fails 5-3. Thank you, Board. Line item 53, Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an amendment for to allocate $10,000 to the Spring Hill Chamber of Commerce in their work with the Williamson County Convention and Visitor Bureau for the Welcome Center for the weekend staffing. So I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance 2210 to allocate $10,000 from the tourism fund to the Spring Hill Chamber of Commerce for the said purposes.
Second.
Second.
We have for $10,000, Alderman Linville makes a motion, seconded by Alderman Nieves. Any discussion? I will be removing myself from voting on this. I'll be abstaining because I have a conflict of interest. Alderman Pomeroy.
Also recusing myself for the same reasons stated.
Wow.
Alderman Nieves.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this is a situation where we've already allotted $10,000. There's no plans, nothing that has been presented to the board as to where this money will go, exactly how it will be spent. There's no requirements for any reporting. So again, I would have to say that this is something, again, that deserves to have that kind of stewardship by the board to vote to give another $10,000 toward this. So I'll be voting no on this.
Alderman Linville.
Just one quick clarification. I won't relitigate because this has been well discussed over the past few months. But this is, 10,000 was allocated for last fiscal year. This will be for the upcoming fiscal year.
Go ahead and vote, please. This motion, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, oh, it's a tie. So a tie,
No, it's not a tie.
well, it's
4 to 2.
it's 4 to 2
so
to
it
2.
passes.
So, well, okay, legal. Is that right? Because if isn't a, okay.
These two don't count, so it's 4 to 2.
They, okay. All right, this passed, line item 53 passes 4 to 2 to 2. Thank you. Okay, items 54 and 55 are this, kind of the same thing. Alderman Canapari, what did you have two line items here for 1.3, one for 3.5 million, one for 350,000. You're up, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. If the board wants me to, I can go into specifics of why Station 4 is required. I'm prepared to do that. I'm looking at the Comprehensive Fire Department Management Review that was done in August of 2021 by the Municipal Technical Advisory Service, which called out in its executive summary that the term they would use for Spring Hill is it is a one-fire city. By that, they mean it takes 16 personnel for a fully engaged structure fire. That's not counting EMS. That would take every engine company and every ladder company we have. Thankfully, thank God, we have not had a fully involved structure fire. But having said that, the law of averages might work against us someday. Hope not, but it might. We talk about Station 4. We talk about getting equipment for Station 4. We have the land. We have a preliminary design, I believe. It might even be a completed design. No? I'm told that either Maury County or Columbia Fire Department built their new fire station on Carter's Creek Road using our conceptual design, if you will. So if you want to see what one looks like, it's there. We keep talking about it, but actually we're not doing anything about it. I found out that the response time, if I needed emergency services, medical or fire, in Wades Grove, my response time for the nearest, it would be a ladder company from Station 1 because Duplex Road has now been opened. And it depends on the type of incident. If it was medical, it might be another fire station that we do. But the bottom line is it's 11 minutes to my house. After 9 minutes in a fire, you're dead. You can look that up. I find it unacceptable that we keep putting developments in, adding population, and we're putting the burden of fire protection and EMS on our personnel. They're being overworked and stressed. They don't have enough personnel, and they certainly need another company to take care of. There are some areas that we don't have coverage. I don't know how many people know that, but if you take a look at the service areas, some overlap and some don't even make. So if it's 11 minutes to my house and that's not a covered property, I don't know how long it's going to take for somebody to get there. They'll save the basement. Okay? So this is my attempt to bring to the public's attention the fact that we need another fire station with 2 companies. We've already allocated money to purchase the equipment. I beg the board to put this money aside. This $3.5 million is approximately, depending on who you get your estimate from, approximately half the price of constructing a new firehouse. I'm saying that we put that in the restricted fund that's not touched until the following fiscal year when we add another 3.5 and finally build the station. The $350,000 that I have down for item 55 is let's complete, at least this year, let's try to complete the design. Okay? These things take time, and we don't have time. Time is not on our side. I want a response time that the nation, the rest of the nation enjoys, 6 minutes. Okay? Mine is 11. And I'm speaking for everybody that's on that side of the city. Okay? So this is a wake-up call, guys. We need Station 4. My motion is to increase ordinance 2210 by $3.5 million to put into a restricted fund to provide construction money for fire station number 4.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to increase our budget 2210, 3.5 mil by Alderman Conapari, seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion? Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I would have a question for staff. For design, is that $350,000 number fairly accurate for what it would take for us to get to construction documents?
Missy, are you still here? That is roughly about 5%. Is that reasonable to get to construction documents? Usually about 10% is what I'm usually. Yeah.
I put that number together at 5%, thinking that we had at least a conceptual design.
Oh.
I mean, we had the property, we don't have a sketch or anything. Well, then, it is too low. It should be around 8 to 10%. Okay. And I have ways to pay for it.
So right now, everybody, we're just talking about 3.5 million on line item 54. We're not talking about design yet. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on 3.5 million? Alderman Fitter.
I was just going to say, John, Alderman Camperry, thank you for bringing this forward. If it's not known, it should be, but Fire Station 2 and the EMS bus out of there is the busiest station in Williamson County right now. And I'm actually in Cameron Farms on the edge of the service radius for Station 2. So certainly putting EMS company in Station 4 helps with coverage as well. I didn't share it at the time, and I don't think it's very well known, but my 3-year-old had a croup attack at around 1 a.m. Back in February and stopped breathing for a while. And it was Station 2 that responded. And it took 12 minutes to respond to my home at 1 o'clock in the morning. Not a lot of traffic at 1 o'clock in the morning. You're right, 12 minutes is a long time, and when it's your 3-year-old not breathing, it's a long, long time. So I appreciate you bringing this forward.
Any further discussion? Go ahead and vote, please. Motion carries 8-0, unanimous. Thank you, Board. All right, Alderman Conner-Perry, you have a motion for line item 55.
Yes, I'd like to just revise that amount based on staff's input tonight. Let's make that 700,000, and that would be to complete the final design with construction documents for station number 4 in the amount of, what did I say, $700,000.
That's 10%, that's reasonable.
There's a motion on the floor for 700,000 for line item 55. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Murray. Is there discussion? Please vote. Line item 55 carries 8-0, unanimous. Thank you, Board. Okay, before we go on,
Mayor, there was a correction between Hazel and I on the way this went, and the items that are here are already in the budget, and I thought she wanted to take them out. It turns out these are the ones she wanted to keep, and the ones that weren't on the list was the ones she wanted to take out. I have done a quick bit of math, and the amount of that total savings is $369,147, and it includes the emergency ops manager, the rec assistant, the groundkeeper, and the sergeant. And I'll leave it to Alderman Nieves at this point in
Yeah,
time.
thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Pam. Yes, those positions I would like to move to remove. And actually, there's money right there for the fire station. And I might as well, do you want me to go ahead and call out the total, or she just did? Do you want each item, Mayor, or?
yes, ma'am.
amount?
So I'm starting at line item 56. Can you identify which
Yes.
positions they are?
Yes, I'm sorry.
So operator concrete.
No.
Let me just call them out because they're all, we have,
It's
yeah.
all but wrong.
It's the emergency ops manager, the rec assistant part-time, a groundkeeper, and the sergeant. Okay? But I did go for 3 more police officers, but
They were already in
they
there.
were already in there. That's what I wanted. And so those totaled $369
Thousand,
and, how many thousand? And
369,147.
Now, and, yeah,
Okay.
and then I have a couple to add. I have the maintenance worker and the tech.
Those
You
are,
didn't have
oh,
those two.
that's right.
You didn't have
Yeah,
these,
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to do those separately.
So
Does that make sense, everyone, what I just told you?
Yes.
So what, sorry. So what are we, one more time, tell me what we're removing.
The emergency ops manager, the rec assistant part-time, groundkeeper, and sergeant.
And these were positions that the management team, the leadership team, put into the budget that they gave you originally. Okay.
Police department sergeant, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
police department sergeant,
Sorry,
yes.
yes.
And it's a groundskeeper for Parks and Rec, it's a rec assistant part-time, and it is the emergency ops manager, which I will say was the #1 priority of the leadership team.
okay.
Sorry. Sorry.
Okay. So then line item 56. We're talking about adding of the position of a
Yeah,
concrete operator. Correct.
No, you don't have to do that, Mayor. Those were all, none of those should have been there. This was what we played telephone tag all weekend trying to sort this out. So skip 56, 57, 58, 59, 61, 61, and 63, 64, 65. You can skip all of those and just replace it with this one new motion for $69,147.
And if it's better, I can do each one of these if you want to, you know, say yay or nay, if it makes it easier than, rather than lumping them. There's four positions here. How would you like that, Mayor?
Yeah, I'm good with lumping them.
Okay.
I'm good with lumping them. So we have go ahead and make an amendment, please.
I already did.
I didn't hear it, sorry, I didn't.
I thought it was
And
already
it's seconded by Alderman Murray. All right, so the amendment to the budget is for $369,147 by Alderman Nieves, seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion on this item? Alderman Pomeroy.
I'm going to oppose it because we had previously talked about it and spoken with the police chief, the interim fire chief, city staff on the emergency ops management. I think it's all necessary for the city, and groundskeeper would be necessary to keep the city parks looking adequately nice.
Any further discussion? Alderman Nieves.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have my mic still on.
All right, go ahead and vote, please. This motion fails, 6-2. Thank you. All right,
I have two, I don't know if you see them there, I have three more.
I've got line item 62 for a maintenance worker.
Yep, that was there.
Yep, line item 2, line item 62 for a maintenance worker. Alderman Nieves.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to amend the budget to add a maintenance worker at $65,288.
Motion to amend our budget 2210 for $65,288 for a maintenance worker by Alderman Nieves, seconded by Alderman Fitterer. Any discussion on this? Alderman Fitterer.
This would come from general fund?
Yes.
So by my math, we've got about 32 grand of float left.
I'm showing 187 with no sanitation subsidy at all.
That could be because of the changes here that we made just on the fly.
Oh, because I put it in the, took it out of fund balance,
Some fund
because
balance.
that's what his amendment was.
Okay, thank you.
So we're at 187,535 and float, correct?
That's my understanding.
Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess the question that I would have is, what would this maintenance worker specifically be tasked for that would require us to add into the budget over and above what staff has already requested?
This actually was one of the positions that was requested, and to be honest with you, I've gotten this so, I'm not sure if this was for the sanitation or it was, I know it was Public Works. It was Public Works, somewhere within Public Works, and there was a total number that they had there, so that's just that extra one that was needed.
This is not currently in the budget, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So they, there was a request for additional maintenance workers by the Public Works Department. During the discussion and the debate, the leadership team pushed that to next year, along with the signal tech. Both of those were pushed to next year with the understanding that next year they were budgeted and they are included in the 2024 budget, but they are not included in the 2023 budget. If you look, you can see that that was the choices that the leadership team made. I can promise you that if you ask Tyler if he can put another maintenance worker to work,
Yes.
he's not going to,
He says fine.
he's not going to tell you no. You know, so I can't tell you exactly what they'll be doing on a daily basis, but, you know, it certainly will be appreciated. I just know there's lots of competing priorities, and as the leader, as part of the leadership team, we agreed to stand by our budget, so.
So let me add to that, that if you remember or recall in our last meeting, I asked for my colleagues to consider the fact that the basic needs in our city are really handled primarily by public safety and public works. And they have these things in here. Why don't we give it to them so that they can do their job instead of making them wait another year, or to just make it as lean as possible just to, so everybody can get their piece? I want to step up for them, because I believe that as we drive around our city, as we see all the things that happens, that, you know, these guys are like 24/7. There's all kinds of things going on. We should go ahead and fund these so that they are fully equipped. So that was what that was about, if you recall that
So
conversation.
I would just like to say I fully support adding his frontline staff in this capacity. I believe that there's Tyler, Mr. Scroggins in the gallery, you can't see him on camera, but he, you know, he held up kind of jokingly, but it's realistic, 5 people. We can always use more frontline staff, especially in this skill set. So I will fully support this without hesitation. Alderman Murray.
So that was my question, because obviously he needs more than one. Are we looking at one person at 65, 2? Are we looking at 2 people part-time? So we're looking at,
Yeah, we always budget for health insurance at full family coverage, so that always usually, well, like, it doesn't necessarily artificially inflate, but it always looks a little high because we've got full family coverage in there.
Alderman Cox.
Thanks, Mayor. Tyler, you're currently down how many people right now? 10? Is this one of those roles then? This is outside of the 10 you're down? Okay. For clarification, I didn't know if we were adding another body to the 10 that was already down, but if this is a different one, okay, thank you.
Alderman Fitter.
So you need to hire 10, and this would be 11? All right, so Alderman Nieves, appreciate what you're trying to do. I'm trying to keep track of the total flow here, because in our special called sessions, we all, well, most of us, took a position where we wanted to leave the sanitation subsidy at least partially in place. If we support this, it is going to eliminate any fund flow for the sanitation subsidy, which personally I think is the right thing to do, but a lot of you took different positions, and so we're obligating ourselves to take a very specific action on the sanitation subsidy should we move forward with this. So I just want to call that out, that, you know, we're getting down to some end dollars here, and we don't fully have, we think we know what the equalization rate's going to be, but we don't fully know what the equalization rate's going to be, so we don't fully know the revenues. So as much as I would love to be done with amendments tonight after first reading, I think this one, and the next 2 possibly, have a better chance of being supported if we wait till second reading on them, unless people have dramatically changed their positions on the sanitation subsidy. So.
I can appreciate that. Alderman Fitter, I appreciate that. This is what I'm talking about right here. We approve all these other things, but when we get down to the nitty-gritty of personnel and things that we need for them to be able to carry out their job, now we're running out of money. And so, you know, I'm willing to do what's best to make this pass for them, because this is something I want to see them have, and I can stand, you know, I can hold it over. But again, what bothers me about it is the things I'm bringing before, you know, making cuts that nobody would vote on, which I get it. You don't want to take that stand. But I know somewhere we're going to run out of funds, and what's the most important here? What's the priorities here? So.
Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I certainly appreciate, bringing this forward. It sounds to me like we currently have 10 funded but unfilled positions. We may be able to fill 11 positions next fiscal year, but my fear would be that we would fund this position but be unable to receive the benefits of funding it because we wouldn't be able to fill the position with such a large vacancy in filling the already funded positions. So I think for me, right now, that I wouldn't be in support of this amendment.
Alderman Canapari.
I just wanted to piggyback off of what Alderman Fitterer was saying, that if it came down to, and again, it might have to wait for the second reading, but if it came down to a subsidy on sanitation versus people needed in the so-called trenches, no pun intended.
Frontline staff.
But I would definitely forego any subsidy on sanitation. I think it's a service that we provide, and if the cost goes up, just like any other business, the costs get passed on to the customer. And so I'm not in favor of any subsidy, but again, I bent to the wishes of what I thought was the feeling I was getting from the board is that they were looking at this 1/3 subsidy. But if it comes down to that or adding staff to Public Works, I'm all in favor of Public Works.
Any further discussion? All right, we have a motion on the floor and it's seconded. Please vote. This motion fails 5-3. Thank you. I should say this motion fails 3-5.
Yeah.
My bad. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 66, City Hall parking lot entrance. Alderman Nieves.
That's not right, I have the traffic signal tech.
Yeah, that was 57. I missed that one. It was just in the wrong order. So it's 57 right now.
So I move to amend the budget for the traffic signal tech position for Public Works in the total of $119,094. This is another position that Public Works needs filled and needs to fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
So we have an amendment by Alderman Nieves for traffic signal tech for $119,094, seconded by Alderman Fitterer. Any discussion? Alderman Pomeroy.
We're all gonna ask the same question. Ms. Caskey, what's the float in streets and highway?
Pardon me?
Streets and highway float. Can we afford to do this?
This budget will be coming out of the general fund because we have all of the state street aid funds going towards paving.
Going towards paving, okay.
So
So we're in the same position as the last discussion.
right.
Alderman Pomeroy.
Ms. Caskey, was this one budgeted for the 2024 as well?
Yes.
Alderman Linville.
Thank you. Pam, can you give us a quick overview of what this person's job description would be?
This person is responsible, along with the crew chief and one other signal tech, 2 signal techs now? Yeah, we have a crew chief and a signal tech. This would be the 3rd signal tech. You need a significant number of specialized qualifications to fill this position. We have it funded for next year because we think it's important. We're adding signals at a pretty heavy clip. So right now, I'm not going to tell you it's not a burden on the 2 that's out there. And Gerald's been out there, and Tyler's been out there, and I've seen them on a Saturday and crawling into cabinets. Will one more signal tech at this rate change that? Probably not. Because when those guys are crawling around in those cabinets, it's because there's something really wrong. This would be a guy who would be capable of doing the basic maintenance and stuff that's going on. if I could chime in, well, I would, again, I'm never against hiring staff for our frontline folks, and this is certainly a needed position. I'm really looking for us to go high-tech with our street lights, and I'd like to put the money towards getting there and hiring people that are capable of working at that level than to keep maintaining what we've got.
My next question was gonna be, will this integrate with the CMAQ grant that we received?
That's exactly where my head was
Okay.
going. Yes, I want to go to where we're going to be able to have that person.
I agree. I think that's a wise direction for us to be moving forward in that way, to double down on the grant that we've received with the smart technology for traffic signals.
That said, you probably will see a new signal technician. The rate of pay and the qualifications may be very different if we wait a year than what we would hire right now.
Any further discussion on line item 57? We have a motion and a second. Go ahead and vote, please. Line item 57 fails 6-2. Line item 66. City Hall parking lot. Alderman Nieves.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move to amend the budget for City Hall parking lot / entrance in the amount of $200,000, and this is to repair the driveway. In addition to that, the building decor and trim in the front of the City Hall is flaking. It's in bad shape. It hasn't been painted or maintained, the trim around the building. And I think that I'd like to see that part taken care of, but if the main thing is to repair the driveway.
All right, there's an amendment, is there a second?
I have this coming out of the fund balance reserve, just for everybody to recognize.
Seconded by Alderman Fitter. Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Linville.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess this would be for Alderman Canterbury. Was there discussion at TAC today about allocating the funds from the neighborhood sidewalk program that hasn't received as much support to this project? We had tabled this at our last BOMA meeting.
Yes, we because it was so late in the fiscal year, TAC will be sending a recommendation to defer the sidewalk program. The monies that we had, I think was $150,000, yeah, to roll it over to next fiscal year and combine it with the budget for next fiscal year. We did not recommend any of the projects.
So to be clear, this 200,000 is not that 150K. This is different.
There was a moment.
I know. You got that? All right. Alderman Canterbury.
Didn't we, when we discussed this the first time, even at TAC, we were only, that 150 was to supplement what was already in a budget, no?
Missy?
There was already 70,000 in the budget, and we were gonna transfer 100 from the neighborhood sidewalk program to cover for a total of 170,000.
So will we need the full 200,000 or?
Well, the 170,000, I don't believe covered everything, did it, Tyler? Plus it's gone up, so the 170,000 was gonna have to be increased as well.
Okay, all right.
So
All
yeah,
right.
you'll probably need the full 200.
And while we're at it, can we replace the railings at City Hall?
Any further discussion on this item?
I think they are planning on doing some stripping and painting and all that, correct? Yeah, so we're
And
gonna do
Tyler's-
that in-house.
Tyler said the last concrete quote he got was 500,000.
Any
We may
further-
need to wait till some of those costs come down, but if it's in the budget, we'll get to it soon.
We have a motion and a second to fund 200,000 for City Hall parking lot fix-up and some other things. Go ahead and vote, please. This motion carries 7-1. Thank you, Board. Item number 67, Alderman Nieves, which is the city monument signs.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is, I move to amend the budget to include, this item is city monument signs, 2 of them, for the total of $50,000. And this is really to replace the old signs that we have at the entrance of the city on the 31. Eventually, we'll probably need for June Lake and those areas. But those signs are, that we have out there are they've served their purpose. I'd love to see us to lift up the presence of entering the city. Like you see, Columbia has done a really beautiful job with theirs. Franklin has nice signs. The $50,000, thankfully to Dan, I don't know where Dan is, but Dan actually increased that from what I originally had. I went out and looked to try to find what a price that would be close to what maybe we would be looking at, and the $50,000 I think is hopefully is going to be enough to do those signs. But I think that it's time for our city to have some very nice signage.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have is there any discussion? Please vote. Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you, Board. Okay, that's all I have on my budget amendments, except for going back to 18 and 19 rainy day fund.
Yeah. Ms. Caskey, what is the, with us adding in the fire department numbers, that takes the rainy day fund to a pretty high amount. What's the number without including the 2 fire department items?
I'm gonna calculate that for you right quickly, but I've got to be able to see my numbers, so hold on just a sec.
99?
99 is what is total.
Okay.
Minus 35, 3.5 minus 700. So that's gonna take that number to
5.7?
5.2 roughly. 5.7.
Okay. 5.7.
Yeah. 5.717.
A different number?
I was thinking 4.5. That's far more than I was thinking, or you were thinking initially.
I didn't expect you to.
Been,
Yeah.
We've been really aggressive with fund balance here, and we all owe a debt of gratitude to the boards before us to giving us this fund balance to spend now. We have to leave a little bit of gunpowder for future years. If we did the full 5, or if we did the 9.9, I mean, there'd be. The reality is, we might not get to all this in this year.
Right.
And it's a good thing we had that project manager in for capital projects now too. But, I mean, coming into tonight, you would have thought 3 was a huge win.
What I thought,
so
yeah.
Even if we went to like 4, it leaves gunpowder for future years, and it's a bigger win than you were expecting tonight too.
All right. I'll make a motion to amend ordinance 22-10 to allocate $4.5 million to the rainy day fund from fund balance.
There's a motion which satisfy line items 18 and 19 for $4.5 million, second by Alderman Linville, second by Alderman Fitter. Is there any discussion on this item?
I just want to remind the board that setting this money aside in a rainy day fund sets it as a reserve So while it may show here as an operational decline in the balance, it's really not money going out the door, it's money being set aside. So let's not think we're wasting a lot of it.
And Budget and Finance has discussed the need to adopt a rainy day policy to set parameters around when it's appropriate to actually touch this money in the future. So setting it aside is a good first step. This is far more than I expected to be able to do this evening, but
So we should call this the set-aside fund versus the rainy day fund? Is there any
It's to protect us against future downturns.
That's right.
Right.
Any further discussion? Go ahead and vote, please. 4.5 million. Motion carries unanimously 8-0. Thank you, board. So that satisfies, we're back to our agenda,
You have to adopt the budget.
which is,
You now amended the budget, now you actually have to take a motion on the amended.
which is the agenda, I think.
we have a motion.
Right.
It was seconded over
Long time ago,
Now we've got a motion that's been amended many times.
and now you have to vote on it.
Which is item number 3 on the agenda.
Right.
Consider first reading of ordinance 2210 as amended.
Multiple times.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion as amended? Go ahead and vote, please. Ordinance 2210, first reading as amended carries 8-0. Thank you, board. Back to the agenda. Item number 4, consider resolution 22-89 to award contract to Nickel Company LLC for Malin Moore Road Access Bridge and Guardrail repairs.
Move to approve 2289.
Move to approve 2289 by Alderman Fitterer,
Second.
second by Alderman Murray. Any discussion? Please vote. Resolution 2289 passes 8-0 unanimously. Thank you, board. Item number 5, consider resolution 22-90 to authorize interlocal agreement with Marshall County for recycling and disposal.
Move to approve 2290.
Motion to approve 2290 by Alderman Fitterer,
Second.
second by Alderman Murray. Any discussion on this item? Please vote. Resolution 2290 passes 8-0 unanimously. Thank you, board. Item number 6, consider resolution 22-91 to approve fiscal year 2022-2023 health insurance programs for the city of Spring Hill.
Move to approve 2291.
Second.
Resolution 2291, motion to approve by Alderman Fitterer, second by Alderman Murray. Any discussion? Please vote. Resolution 2291 passes unanimously 8-0. Thank you, board. Item number 7, consider resolution 22-92 to adopt insurance contribution and reimbursement policy for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Move to approve 2292.
Second.
Motion to approve 2292 by Alderman Fitterer, seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion? Please vote. Twenty-two ninety-two carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you, board. Item number 8, consider resolution 22-93 to authorize the purchase of insertion valve for the Highway 31 water booster station.
Move to approve 2293.
Second.
Motion to approve 2293 by Alderman Fitterer, seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion? Please vote. Twenty-two ninety-three carries 8-0 unanimously. Thank you, board. Item number 9, Ms. Caskey. It's- which-
Yes, sir. Mayor, we would ask that Resolution 9 and 10, both of which are annexations and plans of services, be removed from the agenda at this time, as we have discovered that we probably missed a step that Tasser is recommending that we add to the process. So we will be re-advertising these and holding public hearings on the plans of services at the next meeting.
Move to defer Resolution 2294.
And there's motion to defer Resolution 2294 by Alderman Fitter, seconded by Alderman Linville. Is there any discussion to defer this motion, this resolution? Alderman Fitter.
We,
Alderman Murray.
are we deferring both 2294 and 2290? Okay.
Just one at a time. This is item number 9 we're doing. Please vote for deferral. $22.94 is voted to defer unanimously by the board. Thank you, board. 8-0. Item number 10.
Move to defer 2295.
Second.
Motion to defer 2295 by Alderman Fitter, seconded by Alderman Linville. Any discussion for deferral? Please vote. $22.95 carries for deferral 8-0 unanimously. Thank you, board. Item number 11, consider first reading of ordinance 22-11 to amend Title 13, Chapter 4, Spring Hill Municipal Code regarding alarm systems.
Move for approval of 2211.
Second.
Motion to approve 2211 by Alderman Fitter, seconded by Alderman Murray. This is an ordinance. Any discussion? Please vote. Ordinance 2211 carries 8-0 unanimously. Thank you, board. Item number 12. Consider first reading of ordinance 22-12 to authorize the abandonment of a portion of city road no longer in use.
Move to approve 2212.
Motion to approve 2212 by Alderman Fitter,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion on this ordinance? Please, Alderman Fitter.
Missy, obviously this has been hanging out there for quite some time. Is there something that caused it to bubble up to your attention?
Yes, sir. Our council, Patrick Carter, was contacted earlier last year that the portion we owned was still owned by the city and was going across the ingress-egress, and their property's for sale. And so Patrick Carter and I worked together to get this done with the attorney for the tract owner, just to
Great.
abandon it so they can sell the property.
Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Please vote. First reading ordinance 2212 passes 8-0 unanimously. Thank you, board. Item number 13. Consider first reading of ordinance 22-13, which is a rezone to amend ordinance 18-21, the same being the zoning ordinance and official zoning map of the city of Spring Hill by rezoning approximately 33.7 acres of property known as Williamson County Tax Map 166, parcel 003.00 from AG agricultural to R2 residential.
Mayor, move to defer 2213 until June 6th as a work session item.
Second.
Motion to defer ordinance, first reading of ordinance 2213 to a work session on our next meeting by Alderman Fitter, seconded by Alderman Linville. Any discussion on this motion? Go ahead and vote, please. So ordinance 2213 carries. It will now be a work session discussion at our next meeting. Thank you. Item number 14, consider resolution 22-98 to approve contract with Waste Management for the city recycling and sanitation services.
Move to approve 2298.
Move to approve 2298 by Alderman Fitter.
Second.
Second by Alderman Murray. Any discussion on this item? Alderman Cox.
Thanks, Mayor. One thing I just I wanted to call out between what was originally presented in this new contract was, in the first go-around, there was discussion about a second container being purchased by a homeowner. That's since been changed to now, if a homeowner needs that second 96-gallon container, they would pay an additional $776 per month. I'm a pretty big family. I put out a lot of trash, and it's a little concerning to me that I would go from $12 all the way up to $24 a month to put out trash. So I'm calling that out. It's probably going to impact some people, and the other thing is, if you move, having a mechanism in place to return those, new homeowner might not need that second container. We're going to need to make sure, if we do this, that we have a good mechanism in place to get those back, and people aren't being charged, and we're trying to then give money back. I could just see where that would get a little messy. So, yeah, I just wanted to call that out because we are going to see people paying essentially double for their trash pickup.
Any further discussion? Alderman Nieves?
Thank you, Mayor. Also, I went back and watched the video of our last meeting where we had the presentation. And in that, it was, they had said 3, but we said 2. And then at the very end, they said, I mean, it was clear, we said it several times, it was a 2-year contract. I can't see us entering into a 3-year contract without going out to bid for this kind of a service. And I agree with Alderman Cox. There was really no clear mention on how much more it would cost for a second can. There are a lot of families that use 2 cans. And you say 96 gallons, that's a big can in itself, and it is. But on my street alone, in my own family, our can is packed with bags on top. That is going to be an easy fill for a lot of families here. This is a family community. We have a large senior population moving in, but the majority are families here, young families. And, you know, there's just some other things there. I'm just not comfortable with this. I won't be supporting this tonight. And so, yeah.
Any further discussion? Alderman Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Pam, is this to actually sign the contract with Waste Management, or is there a way we could do a bid for this particular service?
Well, we're a little late for that. I don't know. I mean, and I think I said before I understand everybody's hesitancy, and like all contracts, they're negotiated between what 2 parties having independent desires want, and you kind of come to the middle. And I think Patrick's done the best job he can at negotiating this with the waste management attorneys. My biggest problem right now with going out to bid, besides the fact that we've let the contract now go because we thought we were going to do this, so we're kind of at the end of the contract time. But my biggest worry is just the cost of diesel right now, and I'm afraid any bid that we would get for 3 years with the anticipation of that would far exceed what we've got right now. Not to mention the fact that there's really not that many companies to do this. I mean, they're pretty limited, and particularly, I mean, they may not be limited to serve a county or a rural population, but to come in and service an entire 50,000 population city, there's not many companies out there that can staff this up to do this in the time period that we would need to do them. And I'm afraid the contract costs we would get would be way above what we're doing right now. As for the comments about the cans, I certainly understand it, and I worked in cities that have done this all different ways. All I can say is that I promise you that we are going to find a way to roll this out in some sort of a slow-mo motion. I don't even think Waste Management's ready with the trucks right now. So I think the trucks are on a certain year build out. So I mean, it may be 6 months before they're even ready to start going to this system. So I think we've got some time to start educating people and talking to people about things. But I certainly hear and understand all the concerns, and, you know, if you pass it, we'll move forward as carefully as we can. If you turn it down, we'll try to figure out how to work with Waste Management to get us to the point where we could rebid, but I am highly concerned about the pricing. We'll tell you that now.
Alderman Nieves?
Yeah, one more thing I forgot to add there, or a couple things. One is that we have a resolution that states that we would go out to bid every 3 years on contracts. And so I wasn't really concerned about that at first because I thought we were at 2 years. I felt like that could give us a time to, we're not really, you know, locked in. But now that's changed in this resolution. It is a 3-year contract. The other thing is that I don't know about you, Alderman, but I have heard from other citizens, and I even saw on social media, people are upset with the fact that about the cans, that they have to go out, they purchase cans, they spent money on cans. The whole fact that the rate is going up, and they're saying, you know, is that paying for the trucks to be refitted? The rates are going up, as well as the fact of this additional can. So it hasn't sit well with citizen feedback that I have seen as well.
Ms. Caskey?
No, sorry.
Any further discussion on this resolution, which is 2298? Go and vote, please. Resolution 2298 carries 5-3. Thank you, Board. Item number 15, consider Resolution 2299 to approve agreement with Thomas & Hutton to provide construction and engineering inspection services for the Malon Moore Road Access Bridge and Guardrail Repair Project.
Move to approve 2299.
Second.
Motion to approve 2299 by Alderman Fitterer, seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion on this item? Please vote. Resolution 2299 carries 8-0, unanimous. Thank you, Board. Item number 16, consider Resolution 22-100 to authorize the mayor to execute a proposal with RAT bills and utility cost of service and rate study.
Move to approve 22100.
Motion to approve 22-100 by Alderman Fitterer, thank you, and seconded by Alderman Murray. Any discussion on this item? Like how you say that name?
I'll just say it's been about a year since we've had a mayor challenged with pronunciation badly.
Thank you. Is that being recorded still? So, all right, any further? Alderman Nieves.
Pam, could you clarify then the total amount that this service is costing? I just want to make sure the total.
I'm going to defer to staff on this one because
Or
there's
Dan, maybe Dan.
4 pieces to this,
Yeah.
and we're talking about just the sanitation and stormwater right now, or just the sanitation?
For stormwater, 57,670, and sanitations is 17,830.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I just want to clarify that, and this is really, I read all of the details in here, but bottom line is this is really going, if I'm understanding correctly, is going to set us up for a position to be able to cost, or we're going to be able to justify a cost or an increase. Is that right?
That's correct.
In utilities,
In those 2 utilities.
in those two. And
Yeah,
then
there's another one's coming forward
that's coming
eventually for water and sewer, but not at this particular moment. These are a bigger priority, because these rates have to change very shortly, and the water and sewer rates we've agreed to hold for the year. So we've stabilized the rates with some fund balance this year to maintain the water and sewer rates this year. but we can't do that in these two funds.
So I've had some citizens talking to me about it. It's been a little confusing, and I could understand why. Their concern is that all along, as the city continues to approve development here, that those funds that this is supposed to actually go to or help fund our water, sewer, our utilities, that those should already be counted for. Why are we having to pay money to turn around and increase the rates for the citizens here for utilities?
So let's push the water and sewer off for a second.
Okay.
Okay, and let's just focus on both sanitation and stormwater. Sanitation, we have had some operational cost, like all of the high-cost recycling that we did for a while, plus the increase in the general rates that we just went through. So that's the sanitation piece, and the fact that we're now pushing off some general fund cost into the sanitation fund, which is appropriate, and we've all discussed that. So that one's that. Stormwater is different in that it's calculated differently, and the capital projects that are coming up are coming up from the fact that we're an aging community now. I know it's hard to talk about aging when we're as young as we are, but we haven't had to do a lot of stormwater stuff because it was new enough when we started that we were only kind of paying for the operations. Now we need to start paying for the capital improvements of stuff that was done 20, 25 years ago. And that's what happens in all aging organizations. It's why our paving budget is going up so much now, because we didn't have that many bad roads, and now those original roads are now starting to age. Older communities that cycle through this all the time, they don't see the hit like we're seeing it kind of right now.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on 22-100? Please vote. Resolution 22-100 carries 7-1. Thank you, Board. So this ends the voting portion of our meeting. ¿Qué hora es? Son las... So we have 3 items of discussion on our work portion, and we're going to go ahead and move right into them. First one, item 1, discussion Board of Codes Appeal. Alderman Fitter.
Thank you, Mayor. This got on my radar maybe a month, 6 weeks ago. It's pretty common throughout Tennessee. As some of you know and others might not, we adopt a building code based upon building code that's been adopted by the state. We have to be within, I think, 7 years of the most recently adopted version of the state. We're in the 2018 version right now. The 2018 version in Appendix B calls for a Board of Codes Appeals. Think of it similar to a Board of Zoning Appeals, where if there's friction or disagreement between the codes officials or the building officials and what a permit holder wants to do, and if that can't be resolved, it provides an avenue for the appeal to take place rather than just going to court. In researching this and in discussions with MTAS, I've been advised that there's a couple different ways to codify this. The simplest simply being to pass an ordinance that says we adopt Appendix B, and if Appendix B changes when we adopt a new code, therefore our codes appeal changes automatically. Smaller communities have been a little bit more nuanced in how they do it because Appendix B does call out criteria of membership, right? You should have an architect, you should have an engineer, you should have these professional people, and they might not necessarily all be residents of smaller communities, so some smaller communities do some one-off stuff to accommodate that. But there's a couple examples in the packet of communities who've just adopted Appendix B and been done with it. My understanding through, again, discussion with MTAS, this is something that typically meets maybe 2-3 times a year. And the most common dispute that arises is some kind of newer material is available in the marketplace. The builder wants to use it. the code hasn't caught up to where the market materials are, so you've got to have some kind of mechanism to let them use this newer product, or they just can't use it. So that's what we'd be accomplishing here. Obviously, there'd be follow-up steps to appoint people, or you know, allow the mayor to just make the appointment, which would be my preferred path, because Appendix B calls out some pretty specific criteria that you even need to be on this. But before I put any work together and put an ordinance together, I just wanted to give you all an opportunity to kind of know where I was headed on this, and if there's input or feedback you all have about whether you prefer the simplified approach of just adopting B or something more specific to Spring Hill, I'd appreciate that before we put any time into drafting an ordinance.
Well, question for clarity, Alderman Fitter. So this is an ad hoc committee if we do it? Ad hoc? As needed? As needed?
They would meet as needed, yeah.
Okay.
And that, again, based off other communities, it'd be 2 to 3 times a year, maybe.
Thank you. Alderman Linville?
Thank you, Mayor. And the current dispute resolution process is simply going to court
We
right now?
currently don't have one. You go to
Okay.
court.
Gotcha.
You know, and
As much as,
it'd be nice to have a step in between there, Mr. Lawyer.
as much as I maybe doubt it, I agree. There's usually a better option than going to court.
So with this, also, if you know, Alderman Fitter, during your research, is this quasi judicial?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
Think
you.
of it very similar as the Board of Zoning Appeals, but building materials.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this is basically for the building inspectors, the not code enforcement officers, the chief building official, the fire marshal, and any other codes that are governed under the International Code Council, which we adopt there. So right now, probably one of our biggest places of friction maybe is actually in the fire code and how we implement that. And the reality is, what we're forcing people to do right now, we're forcing the fire marshal to find a compromise position instead of sticking to the code and letting the code board find the compromise. And I would always find...
Staff out of poor positions.
Right, yeah. So I always find it better to do that. It's much better for the planning staff to take the hard line and let the BOZA be the
BZA.
BZA.
So I'm always a proponent, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And if it's just a good thing to do, I mean, in your opinion, are we dodging a bullet by not having it?
No, I think it is broken. We just don't pay attention to it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Alderman Pomeroy.
I'll go for it.
I was just going the simpler route. You're asking, I think, you know what to do, so.
Yeah, I think this is a great move forward. Proceed.
Ms. Caskey? So, based on that feedback, should we make a resolution to start this out, or?
We don't need a resolution. I'll draft an ordinance with staff and council.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, item number 2 in our work session, discussion of hiring a new judge. Ms. Caskey.
So, several of you are aware, most of you are aware that Deanna Hood has won her election to the higher court. She'll be stepping down at the end of July as...
End of August.
August?
Yes, ma'am, August
Okay.
31.
Okay, good. I thought it was July, that's even better. Several of you have asked me for a process. The reality is, the mayor said, what are our requirements for the job? And I spent over an hour and we couldn't find any. Then I called April and she went to try to find me, and there's just not any requirements. There was a major shift in the law a few years ago that said you can't hold 2 positions, and we thought that it said you had to be an attorney, but the reality is we couldn't find it anywhere in state statute, municipal code, MTS advice, anything. Now, obviously, we think that would be wise. So the question is, how are we going to go through the process? We looked around, frankly, we found one, you can find the city we stole it from if you want to. Thank you, Brentwood.
When you said found one, you mean an application?
Yeah, there's an application, and there is also a hiring procedure that is also there. Yeah, it looks like we missed that one. We'll try to get that out to you as well. That basically lays out dates, but basically the answer is, here's an application. It gives us all the stuff that we need to give them, that we need to know about them, potential conflicts, their background, whatever. It's a fairly extensive application, you know, you give them that, they submit it, and then we go through the process of selecting it. It is a BOMA appointment, and it is subject to the same sort of BOMA appointments that everything else is, so it has to be done in public and all of that. So you might want staff, if we got several, you might want staff to vet them. I do know of at least 3 interested candidates, but I know nothing about them, so I'm not going to claim that they're qualified.
Alderman Fitterer?
I think I was the only one up here last time we did this. But we followed a similar process. Human Resources put out a job description, interested parties applied. We asked staff to vet them initially, and really staff only produced one recommendation. That was Judge Hogan.
We're happy to take it down to 1 for you if you want us to. If you don't, if you want to see all the candidates, then we'll happily show you that, or we're happy to do a combo. Here's our recommendation, and you know, here's the rest of the applications in case you don't agree with us.
We received all the information last time. We received the staff recommendation.
And a recommendation.
And looking at all the information and the recommendation, it was
Made it pretty easy.
to decide, figure out
We
why
can do
the
that. We can follow that
recommendation
exact same process.
And so-
you know, last time, had there been 2 or more, I'm sure we would have had 2 or more options presented from staff, but it was very clear last time that Judge Hood was the viable option.
And some more background, I think this is correct. This is a part-time position, the city judge's part-time position. I believe their salary for a part-time is $30K, is that correct?
28,000.
28,000.
I rounded up.
Yeah.
Alderman Palmer.
Yeah, I'd like to see all the, like Alderman Thayer said, all the information come through. This is, judge deals exclusively with minor traffic offenses, right? That's it? Okay.
And minor code offenses.
Okay, minor code offenses, just so the board's.
Summary.
I'm one of few lawyers who appears in front of these city judges because most attorneys are, if you're not on the criminal side, you're not on the criminal side. If you're on the criminal side, I had an attorney remark to me a few weeks ago, why the heck would you take those cases? There's no money to make in those cases. So the bigger attorneys go for the higher profile stuff, and if you're a smaller attorney like me, you go for the smaller stuff. So, but I'm just going to be looking for a judge who's experienced in being in front of this, in these city ordinances, and in minor traffic offense cases. That's something that I'm going to be looking for when we go through it.
Any further discussion, Ms. Caskey? Do you have enough takeaways to, okay. Thank you. Item number 3.
I'm gonna apologize. I think I miscommunicated with April. I thought you had this in your packet, but I don't find them in your packet, and I no longer have the ability to show you anything on the screen. Suffice it to say that you'll get a resolution in the next meeting that will have the position authorization that you did in September of 2021 when we added the extra assistant. We will add all of the positions that are now been approved to create new total positions. We have gone through and restructured titles. You will also see new salary recommendations where we have split police and fire out because they work different number of hours before they get overtime. So we'll have an 80-hour pay sheet, a 86-hour pay sheet, and an 106-hour pay sheet, basically. That's the biweekly number of hours worked before overtime. I will get that out to you before the next board meeting, so that if you have any questions about it, you can see it. I apologize that that was not in the packet already. Basically, it increments the salary scale at 3%, and it moves everybody through the salaries 3%. So people are getting a 6% raise, but we're only changing starting pays by 3%, other than in the police department, which we're using the money that you provided for in that to move those salaries quite a bit further so that they're competitive. I believe our new starting wage for a police officer will be $50,000. So
Nice.
we've got that up to where we believe it is competitive.
Thank you. Any further items for any discussion on what Pam had to say? All right. So moving on, acknowledgements. Are there any acknowledgements? Alderman Nieves.
Mayor, I never did see the sign sheet for all of us. Did that go around? Okay, all right, just want to make sure.
Thank you. Good observation. Any acknowledgements? Okay, I have one. So our administrative assistant, Mr. Robert Brewer, he is the gentleman who put together these fantastic, you can read, sheets that we were doing the budget off today, the amendment budget. So thank you, Robert Brewer. Acknowledged. Any further acknowledgements?